24th. Thank you. Welcome to the September 24th, 2024 full board meeting of the Manhattan Community Board 11. My name is Xavier Santiago and I'm the chair of CB11. This meeting is officially called to order at 6:39 p.m. Tonight, we're joined by District Manager Angel Muscane, Assistant District Manager Khalid Nixon, and Community Associate Marlene Pierre. In order to conduct an efficient meeting, let's observe a few ground rules. 1, no one may speak until granted the floor. 2, CB11 members, if you have a question or wish to make a motion, please raise your hand and wait to be recognized. In a back and forth discussion, the chair will recognize the next person to speak. Members attending via Zoom can find the raise hand button by first clicking the participants icon to access the panel where the button is located. If you have any technical issues, please relay your difficulty to the staff in the chat. The chat should not be used to discuss or pose questions about agenda topics. All such remarks should be made on the record. Please keep your questions and comments brief and on topic to the discussion. 3, members of the public can register to speak in the public session by completing the pre-registration form and providing their name, affiliation, and the topic of their comments. A link to the registration form has been shared in the chat. The link is also accessible from the meeting agenda. Registration for the public session will close at 7:15 p.m. And with that, we will now take attendance. Rosa?
Good evening, everyone. I will be calling your name. Please listen to it carefully. Jose Altamirano. Thank you. Stephanie Arroyo. Thank you. Mark Bogorsky. Marcel Bondima. Thank you. Adem Brija. Thank you. Kenneth Crouch. Kenneth Crouch. Jocelyn Cruz. Jocelyn Cruz. Carlos Diaz is here. Thank you. Rosa Diaz, that's myself. Jessica Elliott. Judith Febrero. All right, yes, excuse. Arnice Foster Hernandez. Thank you. David Giordano. Thank you. John Green. John Green. Pascal Hanu. Thank you. Wanda Hopkins. Christina Johnson. Thank you. Stanley Johnson.
Hopkins
Stanley
here.
Johnson. Juro Jones. Thank you. Sage Mason. Thank you. Malik McCullough. Malik McCullough. Jennifer Mayer. Thank you. Jessica Morris. Neil Saurama.
Present.
Thank you. Beverly Pavon. Thank you. Samantha Pedreiro. Thank you. Claudia Perez.
Here.
Claudia Perez. Thank you. Valerie Ponte. Thank you. Asher Rodriguez. Thank you. Eugene Rodriguez. Thank you. Jennifer Rosado. Jennifer Rosado. Dawn Sanders.
Present.
Thank you. Xavier Santiago. Thank you. Isaac Scott. Isaac Scott. Russell Schuller. Thank you. Loretta So. Loretta So. Derek Stampone. Thank you. Alaira Chicambone. Okay, now we'll repeat that. Vincent Torres. Thank you. Marie Vasquez. Jason Villanueva. Jason Villanueva. Hilda Vives Vasquez. Nee Whitaker. Justina Williams. Justina Williams. Michelle Walter Clement. Thank you. Shani Wolfock. Thank you. Jason Wu. Thank you.
We have quorum. Thank you. The agenda for tonight's meeting was distributed ahead of time by the board office and was posted on our website's meetings calendar. If there are no objections, we will adopt the agenda as stated. Board members, if you wish to object to adopting the agenda, you may raise your hand and wait to be recognized. Seeing no objections, the agenda for tonight's meeting is adopted. Now we'll move on to our pre-registered speakers. You'll have 3 minutes each. A few ground rules for those wishing to speak. 1, you must sign up and give testimony providing your name and affiliation. 2, you will be allowed 3 minutes to speak. 3, you should address your testimony to the board, not the public. 4, you should speak clearly and into the microphone. 5, you should be prepared to respond to board member questions if they have them in order to clarify facts and opinions presented in your comments. Board members, a quick reminder, you should only ask clarifying questions. Commentary will not be entertained. First up, we have Cynthia Carrion from El Museo del Barrio. Welcome.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Cynthia Carrion. I am the new Director of Government and Community Affairs at El Museo del Barrio, just across the street. So I just wanted to take a moment and introduce myself. Please note that the scaffolding in front of our building has finally been removed. It's still along the sides, but after 13 years, we are very excited to welcome the public back. We do have some upcoming public programs that we're excited to share, starting with the opening of our new exhibition, La Trinidad, which features over 30 artists from around the world and really looks at what does the Latino diaspora mean. So I really encourage everybody to check out our website at events. I'll leave some free passes out at the back, and feel free to reach out if you ever have any questions. Thank you so much.
One question.
Hi, Cynthia. Nice to meet you. I just had a question. I think maybe 3 or 4 years ago, maybe even longer than that, there was a issue that was brought up at El Museo that ADA access wasn't being provided and that y'all were paying, some sort of fee to the city for not having ADA access. Is that still an issue?
I can follow up. So I should say this is starting my 3rd week at El Museo. So I'm happy to return with that information.
I'm just asking because I think I can possibly help you. So if it's still a problem, I'd love to connect.
Okay, perfect.
so
And your name again? Sorry.
Jessica Elliott. I'm the vice chair of the board.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm glad to see the scaffolding come down. Any other? Wonderful. Next, we will have Tasha Smalls from We Act for Environmental Justice.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Taisha with WEAC. I'm the community organizer. So just a few updates. So first of all, happy Climate Week. So we have a few events coming up for us. Friday, September 27th, we're having a Power Uptown Tackle Energy Insecure together with Columbia. Is going to be a panel discussion with our Manhattan Energy Hub and Con Edison to learn more about renewable energy, and you can get some tips and tricks about how to renew your lower your energy bill, as well as that Saturday, September 28th, we're going to be celebrating the 10th anniversary of Mother Clara Hale. That's going to be from 10 to 1 p.m. So that's going to be on 146th Street. We're doing a tour with MTA of the Mother Clara Hale, so come out to join us. And then last but not least, we're having our monthly membership meeting October 12th on the second Saturday. We're going to be focusing on elections. Our location is going to be at 155th Street between Amsterdam and St. Nicholas. It's going to be from 10 to 12:30. So please come out. If you have any questions, my email is Taisha, TYISHA @weact.org. And my telephone number is 646-983-7073.
Yes, Christina.
I'm sorry? Which part? Okay, no problem. It's Taisha, it's TYISHA @weact.org. And my telephone number is 983-7073.
Yes, Asha.
September 28th. So it's going to be on 146th Street and I believe Amsterdam. It's where the bus depot is. 10 a.m.
Wonderful. Okay. Seeing no further hands, thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Next up, we have Sage Mason. And talk about the Second Avenue subway.
Hey everybody, how's everybody doing? I'm Sage, I'm on CB11. I just wanted to speak tonight because there's something that happened over the summer that I don't think people are paying very much attention to. At least I haven't seen very much outrage from this community, and I really wish there was. But that's that the Second Avenue subway, which had all of the money to fund it, $7.7 billion. That money was wiped out as a result of Kathy Hochul saying no to congestion pricing like a week before it was scheduled to go into effect. The Second Avenue subway, I would say, and somebody can verify this, probably the single biggest infrastructure project in East Harlem in history. I see Asher has you. Okay. And some people might say that the project is not canceled, but the only holdup for the past 86 years was funding. And we had it all until it was wiped out because the federal grant of like 3 point something billion was tied to the money that was going to come from congestion pricing. So in total, $7 billion of investment in East Harlem wiped out. That was probably the MTA's like biggest project they were working on right now, citywide or statewide, probably. That was the biggest investment in East Harlem. And we've been waiting almost 100 years for this project to happen. It was going to open up the subway system to everybody who is east of like 3rd Avenue. And just now, I went to Patsy's before I got here. I had to walk from 125th Street in Lexington, almost a mile to 118th Street and 1st Avenue. And I can walk very fast, and it's not that hard for me, and I'm happy to do it. But a lot of people can't make that trip. A lot of people struggle even not to get pizza, but to get to work every day, to go to stores. And a lot of people don't come to East Harlem or the far side of East Harlem because it's relatively inaccessible unless you take the bus or you have a car or have some other means of transportation. So this project represented, I think, something much bigger to the community than just like convenience. It represented a link for East Harlem to the rest of Manhattan, to the rest of New York City. And it was going to bring accessibility, it was going to bring jobs, it was going to bring economic growth. And now it's just abandoned. And $7.7 billion, that's the equivalent of if you took everybody in East Harlem's annual income and added it all together before taxes, it wouldn't even be half of that.
Okay. Time. Thank you. Asher, you had a question.
I don't think that's true. I think there was a $54 million additional investment, but that is a drop in the bucket compared to the $7 billion that was supposed to be there.
Jessica Morris. Yeah, Jessica Morris. No, you had a question for Sage. Yeah. Sage.
So just a point of information, I'm aware of a number of lawsuits with regard to the canceling of congestion pricing. One in particular will begin to be heard on Friday at 9 a.m. downtown. But what, Sage, are you perhaps suggesting that the board do about the decision to temporarily pause or cancel congestion pricing?
Well, I know there are mixed opinions on the congestion pricing program on this board. I think a lot of people who are opposed to it, at least in this community, weren't actually going to be impacted by the congestion pricing scheme. Most people, and I think car owners are overrepresented on community boards citywide, but most people in East Harlem don't have a car. I kind of have a car. I very rarely bring it into the city, and it's falling apart right now. I definitely wouldn't bring it into Midtown, which is the only place that would have, resulted in increased prices, unless you, if you're traveling on the FDR Drive or the West Side Highway, you wouldn't have paid anything. But the congestion pricing scheme is just for people who are like parking cars in Midtown or bringing cars into the central business district.
Okay.
What I think people should do
So
is
say,
just
John.
be upset about it, because I think the MTA and the state government feels like they can walk all over this community. Because
so-
we don't do anything about it when these
So
kinds of things happen.
that's not correct. We had an update at the August meeting where Joe O'Donnell gave a full debriefing, and I would recommend reviewing that meeting.
I watched the video before I got up.
And read the report and the PDF that was presented where it laid out all the financing. They still need to secure financing. That is
Which
correct,
has always been the problem.
but they did bring additional funding to continue the work, which has now begun on Second Avenue at 106, to where they moved the bus. They're now moved all of the mechanicals, utilities, so they're already proceeding down the pike. So I'm going to keep the meeting moving forward, but I would welcome you to please come attend, because we're going to have another meeting with Second Avenue Subway Task Force. But he did give a full amount of information on that to
Right.
review. So let's.
Point
So
of clarification, the Second Avenue Subway Task Force is a subcommittee of the board and it meets monthly, is that correct?
it meets as needed, and there's
As
a
needed.
upcoming meeting. We're trying to pull more people that are affected directly by it, such as Franklin Plaza and others. So that's information that's going to be forthcoming. So
But it
that-
does not meet regularly.
It was meeting regular in the past. It is going to be meeting regularly because things were on hold at the time being. And now that we actually have information, we can proceed going forward. During that time period, and to clarify for everyone here, we had made inroads with a lot of the larger developments such as 1199, Taino Towers, Franklin Plaza, which had been left out of the loop. And actually they had closed doors when it was come to meetings with the MTA, but now they're being looped in. So people like Leslie Colon, who lives in Franklin Plaza, has helped facilitate reconnecting a lot of those relationships we used to have over a decade ago, but have ceased since COVID. So with that, I'm going to move the meeting along. Thank you very much for your concern. I look forward to your
Thank you.
work. All right, last public speaker is going to be Carrie King from Uptown Grand Central. Carrie.
Okay, looking around the room, this is like preaching to the choir. I don't even need to say this announcement. But Party on Park is this Sunday, September 29th, along Park Avenue. So the things you need to know, dear friends, are that it's changed a little bit in layout thanks to the MTA. The Park Avenue Viaduct construction project is working north of 115th Street. So we're changing our map a little bit this year. Party on Park, this is going to be the 5th year. We skipped a few years for COVID and for bad weather, but it's the 5th year of us activating the spaces underneath the Park Avenue Viaduct that need to be activated and need to be beautiful for our community. So this year's map is going to go from 115th to 111th, and for the first year ever is going to make a loop. So you can go on both sides of the viaduct. And then also, we're also doing 115th Street because that gives a little bit more space for things like rock wall, bouncy house. Unlimited biking is going to unlock the bikes for kids. We'll have city bikes for adults and free bike helmets that you can go home. If you got a small head, a big head, any size shape or head, you can get a bike helmet to take home with you. Also at, so you start at 115th and Lex, and then go west, and then you can loop around the viaduct. MTA is going to be there. FDNY is going to be there. There'll be health screenings. Ted Smooth is going to do a jam. There will also be arts and skateboards and fitness, and there will be, count them, 1, 2, 3 different places to register to vote, because that's really important this year. So please spread the word. Make sure everybody you know is out there. I've got these, the big ones. I've got the little ones. It's on the Uptown Grand Central Instagram. It's in the front of the community board office. Thank you, Angel. And thank you to all of you who have already helped spread the word and get it out. And we will see you on Sunday. And if anybody else wants a table or a tent, I might have a few more in storage. So just let me know. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Carrie. All right, any questions for Carrie?
And it's one addendum to that announcement.
Yes. Good.
I can do that too. Okay, so I'm not putting these behind my back. So the other thing is that probably next month, we think, or a little bit after, Uptown Grand Central is going to come before Community Board 11 with an update on the formation of the first business improvement district for East Harlem. So many of you know, East Harlem is the only community district in Manhattan that does not have a business improvement district. And just for background, business improvement districts are kind of like public-private partnerships where the property owners pay that to support things like street cleaning, public safety, and things like that. So with all the development along East 125th, it's a good time to start a bid. The bid will help be a separate organization, but help increase the work that Uptown Grand Central has already put in to do street cleaning and the work of making that part of the neighborhood a little bit better. So we've done the outreach process. We didn't get one single no vote from any property owner. So now we're at the stage where we're before Small Business Services. We're going to do our interagency meeting next week, and then it'll go to city planning. Then it's going to come to the borough president and back to you. So we'll come with all the details very soon, but just look forward to that. And thank you for your support.
Thank you. Wonderful. And with that, that concludes our public session. I'm sorry, not our public session, our pre-registered speakers. Who has the beeper? Yeah. Thank you. Great. We'll now move along to our local elected officials. We ask that elected officials or their representatives complete the registration form if they wish to give a report. A link to the form has been shared in the chat. The link is also accessible from the meeting agenda. We ask that any event service literature be sent to our office so that we may post and share it as appropriate. Again, please keep your report to 3 minutes and be mindful not to repeat what others have already mentioned. And first up on my list, we have Isabel from the Public Advocate's Office.
Okay. Hi, everybody. So happy to be back at Community Board 11. I am just going to skim through because some stuff has happened already, but the Public Advocate's Office, our entire family, just acknowledging that it is Hispanic Heritage Season. And, you know, just acknowledging that. And Porfirio is here and he's probably more qualified, but we do want to encourage people who have not applied to become a member of Community Board 11 or any other community board where you live or work, right? Please do so. It's important that you bring your voices to the table. But the other thing is, on the 17th of September, we had a lot of activity around voter registration. And even though that passed, we want to continue to encourage you and those in your circles to register to vote. It is very important. I can't remember what the deadline is to register, but it's approaching. Please register to vote and then vote. So I'm gonna go straight to the legislative updates. As you remember, in July, the mayor used a last-minute unjustified executive order to declare state of emergency and prevent a law from going into effect to ban solitary confinement in city jails. Despite the law passing overwhelmingly 9 months ago, our office is trying to get the administration to follow the law. Okay, let me try to keep a straight face. In August, our office sent a letter to the mayor and Department of Corrections Commissioner asking whether the administration is taking any steps toward fixing this emergency, follow the law. They have not responded. This month, the Public Advocate Jemani Williams bill passed by the City Council that would require the city to place a sign at the intersection of Wall Street and Pearl Street in Lower Manhattan, the location of its first slave market. The marker will include the historical information about the role slavery played in building the city's economy. This is important at a time when some states are attempting to erase the history of slavery and racism. So make sure to stop by. Very significant. Upcoming events, we do have an Eventbrite. Just please look us up as New York City Public Advocate. .eventbrite.com. We post every event. We also have a newsletter. We have an amazing constituent services team. And for anybody needing any assistance, any of the families that you serve, the people that you serve, get help. You go to the public advocates page, get help. There's a form. Please feel free to also nudge me if you're not hearing from us. You can find me at Y Abreu. I have one last card. I'm afraid you're all gonna fight for this, but it has a QR code.
So why don't you, you have a
Yeah,
QR code. Maybe you could put that in front.
Don't go like
You give us here.
style, like last man standing gets my card. Scan it.
If you could give your phone number, and your email. Thank you, Isabel. Any questions?
I'm not done.
I know, but the time is.
So stay in touch with our office. I'm gonna give you the number, 212-669-7250. Get help at advocate.nyc.gov, and my email in that card. If you're not hearing from us in 2-3 days, please email me, call the cell phone number. I love being busy
Okay,
and getting things done.
Okay.
That's it. Any
Thank you.
questions?
question. Wonderful.
Any questions, please? Xavier, write them down. I have to go catch a Yankees game.
All right, thank you for being with us. All right. All right, all right. We're gonna move along to Elsie Encarnacion from Deputy Speaker Ayala's office. Elsie?
Yes, good evening.
You
Can you
got-
guys hear
you
me?
got the- Yeah, we can hear you. You got the clock there.
Thank you. Welcome back, everyone, and good evening. I apologize for not being in person, but I do look forward to being there in October. I wanted to share some updates over the summer. Our first is around affordable housing. As many of you may have heard, our district ranked 3rd in the city for affordable housing production. So I really want to take a moment to thank Community Board 11, because as our partners through the ULURP process, you are all a part of making that possible. So thank you very much. Many of you may also know that the Deputy Speaker passed the City FEPS law to prevent tenants from entering into shelter before receiving their voucher. Unfortunately, there's been a legal challenge around that law, and the courts did file against that law, but we do plan to appeal, and we remain hopeful that we will start attacking this homelessness issue in our city. We've been working closely with the NYPD to combat the drug dealing that's happening in the neighborhood. We've met with them a number of times. We've done walkthroughs through 116th Street, 117th Street, and are in constant communication. We have seen a slight reduction in activity of drug dealing on 116th Street and an increase in visibility from the NYPD. But we know that this is going to be an ongoing effort, and we understand fully that the quality of life issues are a significant concern for our community. So, I wish I had a magic wand, but we're going to stay committed to making that progress together. Also, just as an update, since July, there have been 22 padlocked smoke shops in East Harlem through the sheriff's office. We've also partnered with the park department to address issues at McNair Park. Recently, we held an event to reclaim that space. I want to give a big shout out to the community board, the borough president's office, Uptown Grand Central, the parks department. I mean, there were so many partners really coming together with a continued effort to keep that place safe and for families. And we are going to start a similar initiative, will be underway for Art Park, which we are seeing similar activity during in Art Park. Really quickly, library updates. The 125th Street Library will reopen in October, so just a few weeks away from that reopening. The Aguilar Library is set for completion in spring of 2025. I know that our community has been suffering with all 3 of our libraries closed. But the 96th Street and the Harlem libraries are working with our schools to provide service. And we have, because of the restorations, been able to fully staff the bookmobile, which is usually at the East River Plaza from 11 to 4 on Thursdays. Thank God for Carrie. She already did the Party on Park events, but we also have East Harlem Law Day happening on Saturday, our workforce mobile van on October 11th in front of our office from 12 to 4. And we're celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month on City Hall, October 9th. Okay, that's it.
Thank you. Wonderful, thank you. I have one question from Asher.
Yes, Asher. I can't hear the question, so I need the
All
mic.
right, could you come up, Asher, so that way Elsie can hear it?
So my question is, how can we bring school groups to the library? Because I've tried contacting both libraries before and I've either received no response or was told that the times, I specifically work for an after-school program that there's only times during the day. So that's my question.
Yeah, do you know which library?
It was both the 125th Street one and the 96th Street one,
Okay.
even before they were closed.
Yeah, I will definitely reach out and get you a contact so you can set that up, so you can bring the group there for sure.
All right, thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Wonderful, thank you so much, Elsie. Oh, you have a question, Angel?
I meant the Harlem Library, not the 125th Street one. I forget that they're two separate ones. My bad.
Got it.
My office thing. There you go. So the adult service librarian for 125th Street actually just dropped by the office the other day, and I have their contact information, so I can share it with you, so you can reach out about coordinating for programs.
All right, thank you.
You got it.
Thank you very much, Elsie, for being here. We look forward to having you in person in October.
Thank you, Xavier.
I'll see you on Saturday. Next up is Oriana Rivera from Senator Serrano's office.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Can you hear me? Hello.
We can hear you. You have your 3 minutes.
Hi. Yes, hi. Thank you so much. Good evening, everybody. So I just want to share that over the past few weeks, Senator Serrano had the pleasure of co-hosting several back-to-school backpack and school supplies giveaways throughout the district. Also, Senator Serrano has also hosted an emergency preparedness training in collaboration with New York State Division of Homeland Security and Emergency Services and the Citizens Preparedness Corps at Corsi Older Adult Center in East Harlem. Actually, we had a training today. Another thing that I want to share is for our district upcoming events that we have. We had Afro Latino Jazz Concert sponsored by Senator Claire. That will be Wednesday, September 25th, 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. at Marcus Garvey Park Amphitheater. Also co-sponsoring the East Harlem Law Day, the Harlem Community Law Office and Legal Aid Society. That will be on Saturday, September 28th, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at Dream Charter School. And then also I want to let you guys know that we have upcoming as well constituent hours for October. That will be October 9th, 11 to 2 at Gaylor Older Adult Center. That will be on 2029 2nd Avenue. And then for October 17th, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m., Carter Burden Network Learner Covello Older Adult Center, 312 East 109th Street. So just please feel free to come by and share all your concerns. And also, if you have any questions, please reach out to us. Our office is always open Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. I'm going to share all the information in the chat as well, so you can reach out to us if any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, and welcome aboard. And do we have any questions? Eugene. Eugene asked if the cultural bill passed.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Did the cultural bill pass?
Yeah, I don't have that information with me right now, but please send me an email. I'm gonna put the information over here in the chat. And I'm happy to answer your questions in a few moments.
Okay. All right, thank you very much. With that, we're going to move the meeting along to Tiffany Brown for the Mayor's Community Affairs Unit. Tiffany?
Good evening.
Timer up there. Thank you. Welcome.
Good evening, Xavier and Community Board 11. Thank you for having me. And sorry I'm not in person, but I had a lot of meetings this evening. But next month, hopefully I'll be able to attend in person. I just have two things really quickly. I just wanted to report on some of the great work that our great Mayor Eric Adams has been doing these past few months. And the first will be our great Mayor Eric Adams announced the appointment of Dinishel Gross as the commissioner of the New York City Department of Small Business Services. Gross, a veteran of the department who previously served as acting commissioner and executive deputy commissioner, will lead the more than 350 person agency charged with creating the environment to support small businesses, job growth, and build thriving neighborhoods across the 5 boroughs. Secondly, I would also like to report that our great Mayor Eric Adams has launched a citywide Money in Your Pocket initiative to help New Yorkers screen for or learn about more than 70 city, state, and federal programs that can make life in New York City more affordable. The New York City Public Engagement Unit trained hundreds of staff from across city government and the city's University of New York students who will begin to visit more than 20 underserved neighborhoods in New York City Housing Authority buildings, continuing on a weekly basis to help thousands of New Yorkers find out which benefits they may be eligible to receive. So I ask that if anyone happens to see that we do have the PEU unit, which is public engagement, they come out. I believe their t-shirts are white and orange. If anyone can spread the word, if they're in the NYCHA developments or in your community and identify themselves as being from the mayor's office, the PEU unit, it's not a scam. They really are coming out into the communities trying to get more people engaged and trying to assist our communities and people in the community with seeing what benefits they qualify for. Okay, and I will also send this information to the office as well so that you can share it with your constituents. And with that being said, that's my report for this evening.
Thank you very much. Do we have any questions? Yes, Beverly,
I can't hear.
Can you come up, or do you want me to repeat the question if you can make it brief? Beverly's coming to the microphone, Tiffany.
Okay.
Yes, please.
Shalom, Tiffany. My question is regarding the task force that the mayor announced a couple of weeks ago regarding having all the agencies provide information about possible buildings that's in their preview and their control for housing. Have they started that task force, and is it open to the public for other people to be part of that task force?
The task force has started, and if we can talk offline, if you can just get my information from Xavier before you leave there tonight, and just send me an email, and I'll follow up with you with that information.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
Thank you.
All right, wonderful. Seeing no other representatives from our elected officials, we will now move on to the Borough President's report. And we have 2 representatives. So we have Keisha Sutton James. So I guess we'll give the Borough President's report. Okay.
Good evening, CB11. How's everybody doing?
Well,
yay. Thank you, Mr. Chair, Executive Committee. So I'll be really quick. I'm here as the chair alluded to with my colleague Porfirio Figueroa. A few updates. First of all, welcome back. Hello, summer's over. Yay! It's Hispanic Heritage Month. You know, happy Hispanic, happy hip. tongue twister. You're gonna have to pause the thing for me, okay? We had an amazing summer giving out, like with events all over the island, we actually prepared we did tabling events all over the summer, obviously night shift family days, back to school events. We now actually have a back to school guide, and a senior resource guide that are both located on our website. Porfirio can give you the address for it because it's too long for me to say. We also did backpack giveaways all over the island, including backpack giveaways and then first day of school events, stopping in on the first day of school all over. In particular, Porfirio and I stopped in the PS 102 back to school block party right here in East Harlem, as well as the PS 112 first day of school, which is one of my favorite schools on this island. It's just a spectacular little oasis on the river. So we've done tons of outreach, and there's obviously more to come. License plate policy. You've all heard about ghost plates. These plates that are either obscured, or some of them even have like a remote control to cover the license plate or cover part of the license plate. And what it's doing is enabling people to skirt paying fines, and it's also enabling them to get away with illegal activities driving, doing things that are not legal in order to skirt up to avoid prosecution. So it's obviously a danger to people, but it's also causing us to lose hundreds of millions of dollars in unclaimed tolls and fines. So the borough president put out a paper about the about ghost cards, calling up for a number of recommendations. You all know that Mark Levine was, science teacher, is I call him a science geek. So, he's into the technology stuff. Like, he wants to use, one of the recommendations is to use AI tools to identify partial plate matches, to use radio frequency ID tags on registration stickers that would tie the car, the registration, and the license plate all together, as well as other training and increased fines and other recommendations. So we encourage you guys to go to the website to look at the report on ghost cars. We also 2 weeks ago, September 10th, we have a series called the Manhattan Empowerment Series, where we, out of our constituent service team, are bringing different programming to Manhattanites. And the most recent one we did was in partnership. We have a partnership now with CUNY Law Resource Network. The most recent one that we did was on tenants' rights, and as it was a tenants' rights workshop, which we are hoping to get up to on the website real soon. I know, Xavier, really quick, really quick, I promise. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Two more things. New York State restaurant meals program. People can use SNAP benefits at participating restaurants, which is really exciting. And restaurants wishing to participate can go to the Office of Temporary Disability Assistance in order to sign up. And then secondly, very importantly, leadership training series, which many of you guys may not know, but Porfirio runs the whole thing. And very importantly, for community boards, for community board members, you have mandatory sessions that you must do. Those are the EEO and the COIB sessions. Then there's going to be tons of other sessions like on real estate finance and many other things that are really useful, not just to community board members, but the community at large. You can all participate. It's on our website.
Wonderful. Thank you. Yeah. So I do want to see a lot of people signed up for those. So they're very
EEO.
Yeah, so Jason and then Michelle. So Jason.
It's just online. I'm sorry, let me just, for the people who are listening online, the question is whether or not the leadership training series for community board members and members at large is going to be in person or just online, and it's just virtual. Sorry, second question. You had another question. I'm sorry, I cut you off.
Faith-based organizations, particularly with the churches and the cathedrals that are closing at a rapid rate in Manhattan. I know the Queens is happening, probably the expected to be I think a lot of positions on other items and more.
So so he has not put out a position paper per se on it. It's definitely something that we in the office are aware of and obviously troubled by. There's been gentrification that has changed the demographic neighborhood. I mean, the demographic makeup of our neighborhoods uptown. I'm a Harlemite as well as obviously that has caused, expenses to be much more challenging. There is definitely work that can be done in this area, and it's something, frankly, that I have wanted to work on and to take up. I appreciate the fact that you're asking the question because it is another reminder that I can take this back to the office and say, people are asking about this. Let us spend some time, focusing on what the recommendations can be. I know that in the prior administration, Gail Brewer had actually put out a paper on this, and perhaps there's something that we can do to update that. Given today's, environment. But thank you for the question. I really appreciate it.
Michelle.
Oh, Michelle. Hey, Michelle. Which paper again? I didn't hear. Yeah, that's a great question. The parking permits conversation is a broader legislative conversation where, we'd have to obviously work with partners on that. I have not checked on that recently. I can do that and find out where things are and get back to you. That's all right? Yeah. For sure. So the question was about parking permits for those who are online, and I'm going to circle back with an update.
Okay, I've got time for two more questions. I had Marcel and then Sage. So we can thank you. Go ahead.
Amazing.
All right, wonderful. Sage, your question.
Oh, hey, Sage. So, Sage, you always have the really good spicy questions. So obviously you all know that the borough president has for a very long time been a huge advocate of congestion pricing, was disappointed, as many others were, that the pause was put on. Obviously there has been, kind of behind the scenes conversations with different electeds around, advocating that for the various reasons that we all know that it be reinstated. Obviously, the environmental issues, obviously, funding for the MTA. So it is a continual process to try to get us there. Government is never easy, but we're working on it.
Thank you very much. You should.
Thank
Great,
you.
Great to see you.
Good to see you as well.
All right, wonderful. Yeah, Porfirio? Sure, real quick, so we don't have misinformation out there.
I just want to clarify that the New York State Restaurant Meals Program can only be used by older adults age 60 or over and or their spouses, someone who has a disability and or their spouses, and or be someone experiencing homelessness. So there are parameters to using your SNAP.
Thank you very much for that clarification. Very important. Wonderful. Now we're going to move the meeting along. We're now going to move into our public hearing. Tonight, we're going to have two public hearings, which I emailed earlier about. The first is land use application number 240-385, triple M at 240-386, ZMM 240-387, HAM and 240-388 ZRM related to the proposed Beacon mixed-use development project. For those of you who may remember, some of us on the board actually toured this site ages ago and the multi-service center in our pursuit of trying to achieve 100% affordability. This presentation are for members of the public so they can observe, listen, and give testimony at the end. And we as the body are here to listen to said testimony and take that on board before we continue with the ULURP process. So just reminding everyone, and I will now pass it on to the team that has presented already to our land use, landmarks and planning, and to our human services. And we'll be coming to housing as well. Come on up. No, they're not going to. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Okay. Okay. Thank you. And we've allotted 15 minutes for the presentation. So.
Yeah, sounds good. All right. Good evening, everyone. Thanks to the Community Board 11 for having us back tonight. My name is James Chikov. I'm the Senior Planner for the Manhattan team in HPD's Division of Planning and Pre-Development. I'm joined by my director, Melissa Otten, and representatives from the development team. They'll introduce themselves during the presentation. So yeah, like Xavier mentioned, we've already presented to the Land Use Committee and the Human Services Committee, and we're excited to be here for this full board public hearing for ULURP for the Beacon project, which will fulfill the East Harlem RFP for Site A, known as the Multi-Service Center. So let's jump in. We'll go through a quick background of this project, introduce you to the site, and talk about the actions that HPD is proposing in this application. And then the project team will walk you through the affordability, programming on the site, and other components like site design and local hiring. So to begin with a bit of background, the Beacon project came to fruition as a result of the feedback received during the East Harlem Neighborhood Plan in 2016. And that plan provided recommendations to address key neighborhood issues. One of the recommendations was to use publicly owned sites to advance 100% affordable housing projects with neighborhood resources, such as improving community facilities. So in 2021, the Beacon project was selected by HPD through a competitive request for proposals known as an RFP for Site A, or the East Harlem Multi-Service Center. And this project was to rehabilitate that center and provide housing on the surrounding parking lot. The Multi-Service Center is currently operated by the New York City Human Resources Administration. Next slide. So the Beacon will be located at 413 East 120th Street, adjacent to the NYCHA Wagner houses between First Avenue and Pleasant Avenue. The applicant for this ULURP is HPD, and the development team working with us is comprised of Ascendant Neighborhood Development and the community builders. The ULURP application for this project was certified on Monday, September 9th, 2024. And the proposed project is one 21-story residential building with approximately 281 units and one superintendent's unit that will be developed under HPD's extremely low and low income affordability program, which is known as ELA. The second building will be a rehabilitated and expanded multi-service center building, which will be owned and managed by the development team. So, in this application to facilitate this project, HPD is proposing several land use actions through two applications. A few of these are a bit complex, so we're happy to take any questions during Q&A. So in the first application, HPD proposes a change in the city map to demap 20 feet of East 120th Street from First Avenue to the eastern end of the development site. So that's the dotted black line. According to the current city map, the existing multi-service center property encroaches onto the mapped street by approximately 11 feet. And so therefore, without this action, the project cannot move forward. The Department of Transportation and the Manhattan Borough President's Office have already approved of this action. Of the initial proposed action. In the second application, HPD proposes Urban Development Action Area designation, UDAP approval of the proposed project, and disposition of city-owned property on Lot 8, the development site, as well as the 7,260 square foot area that is proposed to be demapped. So in the first slide that I showed, the area that is being demapped. Also, as part of the second application, HPD proposes a rezoning to an R8 district and a text amendment to designate a mandatory inclusionary housing area, and that will be in the area highlighted in dotted red. So once again, happy to clarify any questions about the land use actions during Q&A, but for now, let's get on to the exciting part of this presentation. So I'll turn it over to Derek and Brian here.
Hey everyone, thanks James. Good evening everyone. My name is Derek Gaskill. I'm the Senior Project Manager at Ascendant Neighborhood Development Corporation. For those who don't know, Ascendant is a over 35-year-old nonprofit community-based organization based right here in East Harlem. Our office is literally 4 blocks away from the Beacon site. And thanks so much for having us. We're really excited to show you this project. It's been in the works for a long time, and it's been part of the community's conversation for a long time. So it's exciting that it's finally here. So we are in a joint venture for this project with the community builders. I'm joined here by Brian, who will be speaking shortly. And our design team for this is the architect is Paul Castrucci Architects, who is also in the audience today. Our landscape architect is Terrain, and the general contractor will be Latier Design and Construction. Cool, I had to write down some numbers for this. There's a lot, but happy to answer any questions. So like James spoke about, the project is 2 parts. The first part is a 21-story residential building with 281 units plus 1 supers unit, 100% affordable. The entrance is on 120th Street, and then it wraps around the existing multi-service center. There'll be amenities both indoor and outdoor for the residents. And then the second part of the project is a gut rehab of the existing multi-service center, which is the facade is a school building that was decommissioned and now houses nonprofit tenants. So gut rehab of that, adding a 6th floor, and the existing tenants will be temporarily relocated and then be able to return back after construction. And Brian will get into that as well in a little bit. All right, next slide, please. Cool. So here we are, updated with the unit and unit mix and affordability. Like we said, it's 100% affordable. We were really excited that with feedback from the community board and with feedback from Deputy Speaker Diana Ayala, we were able to increase the number of family-sized apartments. So we were able to achieve 37% of the units in this building are going to be 2 and 3 bedroom apartments, so larger size, family-sized units. And you can see the breakdown. We have studios, 1 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms. And you can also see the affordability breakdown too. There's going to be a 15% set aside for formerly homeless. And this project is being built to HPD's LS standards, so based off of their term sheet. But we are also really excited that for the larger size units, we were able to get those at lower AMI incomes as well. Next slide. Cool. And again, these are the income limits and maximum monthly rents. A summary of those, again, based on HPD's guidelines. The bands are based on apartment size and family size. So that's what the range is. And you can see that we're at formerly homeless, 15%, 30%, 50%, 70%, and 80% AMI. Next slide. Cool. And I'll be handing it over to Brian Backshire of the Community Builders.
All right, great. Thank you, Derek. And thanks to all of you. Thanks for the time. By way of introduction, Brian Backscheider. I'm a Senior Development Project Manager with the Community Builders. We're a 60-year-old nonprofit developer and operator of affordable housing. We have 5 regional offices, including my office here in New York City. So we're excited to be partnering with Ascendant on this project. So just to dive in a little bit more to the multi-service center building, as was mentioned, it's an adaptive reuse of the existing building. We'll be restoring the facade, adding a sixth floor, but also gut renovating the inside so that it serves the existing tenants in the building better. We're working with them to make sure it's a better space, but we're also going to create more space for more tenants. And in addition to creating more rentable space, there'd be additional usable space for other organizations from outside the building to try to increase more activity, make it even a better, more usable entity for the community. To dig into a little bit about the new program spaces, there'll be new conference rooms on the ground floor, again, for use both by the tenants in the building, but also for outside groups that are interested in finding event space. There'll also be that new sixth floor, which in the renderings was a little glassy top. That's because it's a greenhouse, an educational greenhouse that we're partnering with the school down the street, PS 206, and finding other groups that are interested in education around healthy living and green and plants, as well as a new basketball court, which is something PS 206 expressed interest in, and we know that there's interest from other organizations and groups in the community. So this is a new space that will can be used by multiple users, as well as for an event space. So for organizations looking for larger events, we'll have both the large volume of the space, but also so a warming kitchen to complement the event use. Go ahead. And as Derek mentioned, we've been working very closely with the existing tenants in the building. We've been working both to make sure that the plans for the renovated building meet their needs, but also that their needs are met during the relocation period. So because of the amount of work we're doing in the building, they were going to relocate off-site. We're working closely with brokers to find suitable locations within East Harlem. But we've been working to make sure that the space works, but also the location works. We know, through our continued relationships with the tenants that there are better places, better blocks or worse blocks, and just because it looks nice on a map doesn't mean it's that it works on the street. And so we're working very closely to make sure that they can continue to operate successfully during the interim period during construction. And just for the context for timing, we're not planning to do any of this relocation work until close to the start of construction to minimize the amount of time that they're off-site. And go ahead. And then to step out of the building, we don't think of a building as just what's happening inside the walls. We want to make sure that we're doing something that works for the community. And so we've been carefully considering how the Beacon site interacts with the Wagner campus and the street that surrounds it. And so this is some renderings of what we're calling the Wagner Walk, which is a new pedestrian path that will run from East 120th Street into the center of the Wagner campus, where the green space is, if you've seen any events that they've run there. And this space will be a new landscaped path that will also have new lighting, security lighting, as well as just mood lighting. So it's well lit, it's safe, and also some opportunities for public art along this space as well. And then just as a whole, we've been thinking very carefully about this site, both for sustainability and for resiliency. We know that East Harlem's in a flood zone and flooding is a real possibility. So with that in mind, the ground floors of both the multi-service center building and the residential building are being built above the floodplain. We have emergency generators that will be part of the plan. So if there was a flood event, that these buildings could continue to operate and have safe usage by the users. And for sustainability, the new residential building is being built to passive house standards so that it is uses very little energy. It has a very robust envelope to make sure that it's comfortable and it is efficient. It's also, we're gonna have solar panels on the roof And I guess to toot our horn, I guess, we were able to, we won an award from NYSERDA, New York State, for, it's called the Buildings of Excellence for the sustainable elements of this project. And then just to wrap things up before any questions, another important part for the community builders as an organization and for this project is making sure that we have local hiring and MWBE opportunities. We're working closely. Derek mentioned our general contractors, Latier Construction. They are based here in East Harlem, and they've committed to both hiring events and outreach to local organizations before we begin construction, and also workforce training opportunities in East Harlem to make sure that there are opportunities for people in the neighborhood to work on this project. We're also working with HPD through their MWBE Build Up program to make sure that there are opportunities for MWBE employment. A couple, sample projects of past projects that both the community builders and Ascendant have done is on the slide here. I was just saying, like, as a company, the community builders sets their own standards that are higher than the city requirements for hitting MWBE goals. It's something that we're really committed to, and we're looking forward to pursuing here. With that, I'll wrap up. Open it up for any questions.
Thank you.
And we've got some printed copies if, we only have like 10, but if anybody needs to take a closer look at anything, I can put them on the chairs right there.
Okay. Thank you, and ask our members to keep the questions brief. Beverly.
So the AMI levels, the area median income and the associated rents, those are kind of set at the federal level, and then HPD just kind of puts out those guidelines as they work with our financing programs. So I think every year it's not really predictable how much it will rise depending on like how the income levels change in New York City based on demographic changes. But I think one thing is that HPD is always reevaluating certain programs, and it, while we can't speak to it now, I think in the future, if AMI levels continue to rise, that might be something that is being considered in terms of how our projects are being financed. But for this one, it will be 30 to 80% AMI. And, I think we're hoping it remains within the reasonable confines of what that means today. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'll take it quickly. Just, it's the construction period is about a 3-year construction period from when we start construction, which of course, we're at the start of the ULERP process, and so it's hard to predict exactly when that construction will start. So obviously, as James said, the AMIs adjust every year based on the incomes of the New York area, and so we'll continue to stay within that 30 to 80% range.
Okay, thank you, Adem.
We really got to use microphones or else the recording won't record your question and no one can hear us online.
All right, so I At our land use meeting, I had asked Ascendant if they could attend our housing meeting. I didn't ask community builders because they don't, I believe, have any existing properties in the community. They said they would be unavailable to make it, but we are gonna have some questions. We'd like the answer. I'll have them to Ascendant by tomorrow morning. We'd like the answers before this coming Tuesday, because that's when we have our housing committee meeting. So it's a little disheartening that they couldn't attend. I actually think it's a great project. I think you guys have been coming, but I think housing is important. This is literally about housing. Second question, with HPD, when you partner or you pick people or corporations to companies to do these projects and they have existing properties within that community, do you take into account the conditions of those properties before granting them new properties? Question.
We do look at, yes, we look at, how groups are in the community, right? And then I will say, when we close a project, so when we hand over the money, they have to clear violations before that, if there are any on those properties. Does that answer your question? It's tough, I understand. Yeah. Okay, great.
I'm not looking to be difficult. I think I just want to understand how things will play out. Like I said, I think it's a great project. I have no issues, but I wanted to know if there were existing violations within properties and somebody was getting to do a project like this and build new housing. That's great. But then the concern is, here's this shiny, beautiful new building. Great. People deserve to live like that. But so do people that have been living in this community already in their current existing house. That's
right. And the RFP process, so this is an RFP site. So that is a competitive process where there are a bunch of submissions from a bunch of different teams, oftentimes with multiple partners. And, there are many things that we take into consideration, including what you mentioned, that clarify. And also just, this is not related to the project, but if you do have an issue with violations, you are more than welcome to reach out to Angel and list them all out, and he'll reach out to me.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Quickly. Hey, so I'd be one of the people who's Ascendant is a small team. And neither myself or executive director was able to attend on the first. So I apologize for that, but I'll be looking for email, and our office is on 116th. So happy to address everything.
Thank you. Jose, your question.
I was just curious because our housing committee is working hard. I'm hoping that the Senate group can make that happen somehow, because they're building housing. They should be attending our housing committee. Just kind of makes sense. Thank you. You want the mic next?
Go ahead.
So no, I'm hoping that they can attend housing. I think this is a very important project. I think we're all in favor of affordable housing. It's a very important one of our priorities. I am hoping that they can also look at their violations and make sure that they, make sure they clear things up, because it's not just about creating affordable housing. It's how our community lives. So this is an important point. You just don't make it pretty from the beginning and then forget it later.
Thank you. All right, one more, and then Jessica, and then I'll give Eugene, and then we'll open up for any members of the public for testimony and move the agenda along. Thank you.
Thank you, Angel, and thank you, Jose. So 4 points that are all related, and it is a bit of a question and a prompt, and I have been a part of the discussion at housing and land use wherever you were last and will be in the future. Wagner Walk, I think there's an opportunity there to make sure that pathway is something that is memorable with the not just public art, but considering a locale and the importance of that face and the community. So I know Eugene Rodriguez, not this one here, but there's another one who's perhaps related, has done some work with some local youth that may be something to look into. A show at CFA a couple of years ago to really make sure that that's something that also represents the community around it. But the beacon, there's a story there. This is one of the four sort of biggest outcomes of the points of agreement. And so understanding what that storytelling is, what does the beacon mean? What is it saying about the neighborhood, and that the future of the neighborhood as it goes, that is award-winning already in its design, and that highlights the importance of efficient and ultimately healthy building systems. So I want to hear more about those systems, not just a bullet point that gets glossed over, because I think ultimately the people that get to live here will be healthy because of the quality of the building that you're building. So to know about that up front, and I'm glad Paul is here because those systems are important to hear about even now at the amazing levels of affordability that you've been able to put forward. So I'd like to hear more about those systems, and I'd like to hear more about those opportunities that you have and how you're engaging the community to make sure that they are authentic when they come to pass.
Okay.
Thank you.
Go ahead. You may respond.
If it's not responsive.
Sure. I'm not sure if Paul, if you want to come up and speak, or if the architects want to speak on the healthy design and the passive house and how you're meeting that. And yeah, and we'll pull up the slide so you can look at it too.
Yeah, hi. Great to be here. It's a great project, amazing community. We're an architectural firm from the Lower East Side. I've been there for decades. A healthy environment, reduction in energy use is really critical to our projects. This is built to a passive house standard, which is encouraged by the City of New York. I'll get into a few points, but it's healthy in the sense that we're making the building airtight. At the same time, we're bringing in fresh air to the apartments, which isn't required on most projects, but it is on this one. So it's continuously fresh air bringing into the apartments. It's especially important after the times in COVID. So that's a big, cutting down the air leakage, which is a reduction 40% of the energy use, but bringing in fresh air. All the windows do open, but there is mechanical ventilation in addition to that. The building's super insulated, so it reduces the energy by other new buildings by 30 or 40%, which is significant. There's no fossil fuels in this building, which is another important factor for the local residents. We have solar power, which will contribute 10 to 20%. We're fine tuning the exact amount in the near future to see as many solar panels as we can fit in the project. Healthy environments, large windows bring light and air into the building more than what you see in most public housing projects. But at the same time, that also helps heat the buildings. So it's encouraged, but the windows aren't too large to overheat the apartment. So we find a balance. A passive house is an energy model, which balances all these requirements of a building to get an appropriate answer.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for the thoughtfulness in that. And thank you for the question. And one last question, Eugene, and then we're going to go to the public.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Not all the kids in East Harlem play basketball. And I have two questions. One, is the auditorium still intact in the building? And if so, do you have any plans for it?
So the auditorium, unfortunately, we're not able to preserve the auditorium as part of this work. It's between the auditorium and the parking lot is where our residential building is going to be going on the north side of the site. But so we are losing the auditorium, but that's also why we're trying to be thoughtful about the gym space so that it could be used for be used for events.
Thank you. All right. Thank you. I'm going to move this meeting along because we have to hear from the public if any have signed up. Do we have any members of the public? Yes, ma'am. I'll need you to come up. We need to take down your information. This is the stage of the. And just to remind everyone, there are a few ground rules for the witnesses during the testimony. You got to sign up, give testimony, providing your name, affiliation. You'll be allowed 3 minutes to testify. You don't have to use it all. You should address your testimony to the board, not the public. You should speak clearly into the microphone. You should be prepared to respond to any board member questions who may that may come up. And board members, I remind you, just ask clarifying questions, not opinions. Okay.
Okay.
We can start the clock. Thank you.
So my question is actually for
Your name
presenters.
and
Oh, sorry.
affiliation.
My name is Danielle. I am a member of We Act and also a member of the Manhattan Solid Waste Advisory Board. My question is, I know you mentioned sustainability a few times, and I'm wondering if waste management has been taken into account to help promote recycling and food scrap separation so that it leads to less contamination and divert waste to landfills, because currently that is the challenge faced by Wagner Houses, which is across the street, and all of NYCHA.
Okay.
Sure.
You may respond if you
Is
would
that
like.
okay? Yes.
Yeah, let's respond. That was.
Okay, great.
testimony.
So this building will have garbage chutes and recycling rooms on each floor. And we'll also planning, during operations to be doing some educational activities around encouraging the recycling.
Thank you very much.
And very briefly to that,
Go ahead.
just in the sense that this group.
Could you speak to the mic? Thank you.
Just in the sense that this group proposed adaptive reusing the existing school, which by using that building and not tearing it down and starting new is maybe 1,000 trucks running through the neighborhood of removing trash. And also during the construction period, there will be waste management.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you very much. I'm seeing no other hands nor any online. That will conclude our public hearing. If additional testimony would like to be provided for the Beacon project, they can email it to mn11@cb.nyc.gov. And the last date to receive testimony is when, Angel? I think by the next land use meeting in October. And that date right here is going to be October 9th. So thank you very much. And we will follow up with our housing team and their questions for Ascendant. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. MN. Let me go back. MN11@cb.nyc.gov. We'll have our next hearing, which is on the Statement of District Needs and Budget Request, fiscal year 2026. Board members, you've already been reviewing this with your committees, so this is for the public to speak or comment on our current budget requests. So are there any people signed up? Or any hands to speak from members of the public? Okay. Seeing no hands and no people registered in online, we will allow testimony until, let's see right here, till October 16th for our District Needs and Budgets meeting. That will be the last day for testimony to be sent to the same email address, mn11@cb.nyc.gov. We will now move the agenda along to our business session. So the minutes from the last full board meeting were distributed ahead of time by the board office. If there are no objections, we will adopt the minutes from that meeting. Board members, if you object to adopting the minutes, you may raise your hand and wait to be recognized. Oh, we did have some. Oh, yes. Everyone, look up here. Take out your fancy dancy bones and you can actually scan that QR code. We're leaving the survey. Thank you. I forgot where that was. I appreciate that. This survey, wherever you're going from now until we're holding it open to the Friday, right? End of the month. Take this. We can send it to you, put it on your phone as your screensaver, and then you can, as you're talking to people in the public, I've already started doing it. So just have them take the survey. It's real simple. I know Isaac and he was like, hey, check it out right here. Went to 1199. please do that. So we want to get as many submissions as possible. Thank you, team. All right. Yes, Rosa. Rose is on. Yeah, we have flyers. All right, so I'm going to move us along. We had, if there are no objections, the minutes from last full board meeting are adopted. That will soon be available on the CB11 website. Okay, on to the chair's report. Everyone, thank you to all the members in this body who have been showing up to all the events, whether it's the parks tours, whether it's our NYCHA family days. I know many of us have been pinging back and forth and even crossing in the middle of the event and missing each other entirely. The feedback from the community is strong in the sense that they like seeing our presence, that we're not being strangers. The pandemic took us off the table. They like us coming back, even though COVID is still out there, people are getting sick. It's not as prevalent as it once was, and they're liking seeing our faces. That's just really what it's all about. We are a community. So I wanted to tell you, we've made a lot of inroads with NYCHA. In fact, I had a really helpful conversation with Ethel Velez, who wants us to go on a tour in Johnson houses and see not only their campus, but the apartments and what they're dealing with. Other TA presidents want to engage in the same, and I'm sure Christina will take us for a tour, right? At Lexington. Yeah. Nothing, I'll tell you. In any event, we need to be out there more and more. During this past summer, we made inroads with a lot of our Mitchell Lama, including 1199. I was there at their shareholders meeting this past Saturday. They would like us to come on to the campus, see the development. It's one of our last holdovers. Although they are dealing with a lot of financial difficulties at this point in time, they do need help. And we've made connections with legal aid and others in trying to assist them. But again, at this point in time, they have 39% of people there that are in arrears, which is causing a huge strain on the complex. And they've also gone through 4 different management companies over the past 5 years. I want to say thank you to Leslie Colon and Miter Colon over at Franklin Plaza. They've helped reconnect us with that co-op board and the work they're dealing with it on the Franklin Plaza campus. A lot of their issues, and you see in the report, are dealing with a lot of public safety, quality of life, things that they're seeing, plus the challenges of Second Avenue subway with the bus being moved. We didn't expect that to be as big of a deal. We thought the tree being potentially lost was going to be a bigger deal. The rest of this, there's a lot of information purposes. Only a few items I'd like to highlight. Our new member in-person orientation. Thank you to all of our new members who came out. It was very helpful. Jess and I enjoyed onboarding and explaining real world from short, mid, and long term the work we do as a board. Also, one of the things not included in the report were the Salsa Wednesday at White Park. It was great to see Carlos and many others. I think Mark Ogarski came out as well. That was sponsored by Diana Ayala. It was a great way to get seniors out, get exercise. More of us should be coming out. That's part of the culture of this community and also staying active. September 6th, I attended the ribbon cutting at NYC Football Club, their team 2 at Randall's Island Icon Stadium. Often we give a lot of pushback to Randall's Island and the resources there not being accessible to our youth. And they'd like to see that pitch be used for a lot of the final tournaments for the soccer teams that our youth engage at. And so it was nice to see this brand new turf out there. For those of you who are new to the neighborhood and may not know, Pastor Angel Valentin, we had a street co-naming on September 14th. He is a longtime community member who served this community. He was a pastor, 40 plus years of service to this community and mentored so many different people. We were trying to get it through the normal way, but we were up against the deadline. And so Speaker Ayala, Deputy Speaker Ayala, who's very supportive of this, was able to make it happen. And it was a very important moment for us to remember not all the heroes are a name we may recognize, but they're people who do good work throughout our community year in and year out. Also attended the ribbon cutting for Corsi Houses and Union Settlement Small Business Incubator. We often ask for help for our small businesses. And this is an example of a way we were able to make that happen over the course of time. So going way back when I first got on the board and we were making budget requests and asking for us to help our small businesses, this is a way that these partnerships can come to fruition. And then the last bit, El Barrio's Art Space, PS 109, they had their 10-year celebration this past Saturday. And those that know Gus Rosado from Operation El Barrio Fight Back, it was a huge win for this community and being able to get affordable housing for artists PS 109, for those that remember, grew up in the neighborhood, became dilapidated, was shut down, and they were actually considering demoing it. And Operation El Barrio Fight Back wanted to see that space activated. If you go by on 99th Street right there between 3rd and 2nd, you see the terracotta, the beautiful architectural design. They were able to actually salvage it and get artists into that housing, and it is affordable housing. That's why we have a lot of events there. So again, I recommend for you to go by there. Also want to give thanks to our former speaker, Melissa Mark Vivarito, because she helped pave the way for that as well. So again, these are some of the events we've attended. There are going to be a lot coming up, such as the Law Day coming up this Saturday, which I'm sure Jason Wu will welcome us with open arms, right? So please show up, just even if you pass by for 15, 20 minutes. And I want to encourage everyone here, challenge yourself this next term. Can you once a quarter go out and table? Can you attend an event? Be there, go to, look at Carrie King. She's everywhere. She'll tell you where to show up too. Right, Party on Park, that's an easy lift right there. So the more we do that, the more we ingratiate ourselves with the community. With that, I'll conclude my report. Thank you. Yes. Yes. Well. Yep.
Very good. However, and we're short of board members. And in the near future, if we're going to use the space of the community, we need to be a part of that as well.
No, thank you very much, Carlos, for that. And thank you, Candy, for hosting us. It is in my report there. But board members, it would have been great to have even more. I want to thank those that did come out. I know there was a lot coming on, coming back online. And thank you very much for mentioning that. Candy, as always, thank you. And Carlos, you too. All right. With that, I conclude my. Yes. Oh, to Angel, sorry. Go ahead.
That's okay. I don't want to to myself either. So good evening, everyone. Sharing a few things from my written report, or highlighting a few things. So back on June 27th, the community board and I wanted to thank HPD, but they've gone now. We hosted an affordable housing financing training with HPD at El Museo del Barrio. We had some attendance, and I think the folks that were in attendance can testify that it was quite informative. It's dense, but it's important to have had that level of density because it is quite complex to finance affordable housing. And I think it's only to the benefit of the community board's members to be able to understand to the extent possible what goes into this, because we ask for affordable housing all of the time, as we should. But it's also important for us to understand what goes into it, so that when we're posing questions and we're being given answers, we're not just kind of wrinkling our noses when we get certain answers that perhaps because of our own lack of understanding, we're at a deficit in being able to appreciate just what goes into making these projects work. So although members weren't able to attend, I really do strongly encourage you to watch the recording. It is on the board's website. Go to the calendar on June 27th, and the link is there, as well as the slide deck presentation. We have been very fortunate to get a lot of cooperation from presenters, giving us the slide decks, and we've been putting them faithfully on the website so that if you're not able to attend, a given meeting or, see a given presentation, you're able to see the video afterwards, or, at least flip through the slide deck to get an appreciation or an understanding of what was presented at those meetings. Excuse me. On September 6th, we had the opportunity to participate in a district budget consultation meeting with Deputy Speaker Ayala, Jessica Elliott and I, our vice chair, and some members of staff, and with the council members, the deputy speaker's staff. It's a very helpful conversation to have. As you'll see if you review the budget responses we got from the adopted budget back at the end of June, there's a number of requests that indicate that where the Office of Management Budget indicates to us that we should contact our local elected officials, right? So essentially that means that the agencies have chosen not to fund it or are not able to fund whatever we requested. So they're encouraging us to speak with our electeds and see if those electeds can help fund it. And having that conversation with Deputy Speaker Ayala, we're able to highlight, look, we need funding for this particular thing, and advocate, to her to consider allocating funds that she has available, that she is able to apply to these needs that we've identified. So we're very thankful for that conversation. Unfortunately, our other council member, we have been unable to schedule a corresponding consultation with. I've mentioned a few times over the years the difficulty that we've had now with consecutive council members representing the 9th council district and getting them to be actively participate with this community board. I'm not trying to slag anybody, but the fact is y'all ask for a lot of stuff and you stomp your feet and you ask for things, and I go and I stomp my feet on your behalf. But if people are not opening those doors, if people are not returning phone calls, we're just stomping our feet and raising our voices to no avail. And I don't know why they're not responsive, but it's 4 in a row. As in my time working with you all, they've been very consistently not connecting with this board. So any of you, I'm going to keep asking. So any of you that have relationships with representatives in that seat, both at council, but also the assembly and senate members that represent those areas that aren't attending, you see them or you don't see them, right? If you have relationships with them or you encounter them around, if you could poke them and say, hey, we not only would like to see you at Community Board 11 meetings, we need to see you at Community Board 11 meetings. Otherwise, frankly, what the hell's the point, right? I am one of those weirdo district managers that will never run for office, never. I'm not interested. So I don't care to ruffle an elected official's or an aspiring elected official's feathers. They have a responsibility to this community. So that's why I keep making these points. I'm not trying to mess with nobody, but you all deserve an answer and you all deserve that engagement. On September 19th, the new East Harlem Scholars Academy High School opened. Unfortunately, I was not able to make it as much as I really wanted to. I know that East Harlem Scholars Academy has a long storied tradition serving this community, and they've been working like hell to get these schools off the ground, and this high school particularly. So I'm so very excited for the community with this new opportunity for our children and for our parents, frankly. And I want to thank David Giordano, who I know was able to make it. Like, he makes everything. I think he's kind of like Gil Brewer. I think he's actually a clone. So thank God for that technology, that he's able to do it. Continuing on my praise of this wonderful man, on September 21st, the staff and I attended the, Khalid, who's also I think also a clone, and I attended the District 4's Welcome Back to School Festival on 120th Street, as we usually do. Thank you, Rosa. So in my, couple of minutes there, well, my while there, I did, as always, see David, not just representing his organization, but also DJing the event and getting everybody dancing. It's just, I love going to that thing. On September 29th, as has been said repeatedly, but merits being repeated, we'll all be celebrating the 5th annual Party on Park, pulled together by the indomitable Carrie King. I don't understand what planet she came from, but I'm glad she stopped here. A couple of other quick things. I want to really encourage members, as Xavier said, encouraging members to attend stuff, show face. People in the community really do appreciate it when it's you all. So in that spirit, I want to encourage you to push the survey. Push it to whatever email list you have. Make a copy of the QR code, print it out, put it, there's a bulletin board in your building's lobby. Please put it there and encourage your neighbors and your friends and your network to complete the survey. It only helps you when you're preparing your budget requests and your contributions to the statement of needs. we don't want to be a board that's just picking ideas out of thin air. We want to be making decisions based on information. And to the extent that you're able to get folks to participate in that, it only helps you on the other end. So please really try to push that. And then lastly, on this Beacon project, I try in my comments to be a cheerleader for the board because I want other people to appreciate the board. But I also, most importantly, want you to appreciate the board. I want you to know that even though it may not be you individually that was here representing the board when processes or projects started, it is often the product of this board's work, your predecessors, or even you if you were here, that, comes to fruition. There's no snapping of fingers and something happens from Monday to Tuesday. Projects take a while. And in this respect, and I think Jessica Morris said this as well, the board worked really hard for many, many years to get the city to get on board with developing 100% affordable projects in our district, particularly on city-owned properties. And, those efforts, bore fruit through the East Harlem Neighborhood Plan and the 2017 East Harlem rezoning and subsequent points of agreement. And, now this is the second project. The first one was the Timbala Terrace, which we talked about last spring, I think. This is the second one that came, it's essentially designed by you. Where like you guys drew a rectangle and we got that rectangle. Like that doesn't happen all the time. And that's what happened. Like this board said, we want these X number of things and we want them in the RFP. And then we threatened them to not issue the RFP. And we told them that, we are going to go through an exercise internally to flesh out what our asks are. And those asks have to be included in the RFP. And they did. And then the RFP went out and the projects that came back out the other end, that project is something you guys wrote. Like you're not the architect, but you're the architect of the idea for it in every detail, like except for the basketball court, everything, like really, like no bleep bleep. You should be proud of that, right? It's important. That's why community boards exist, is to bring your level of perspective from the ground level, from around the corner, not some trained person. Some of us are trained, some of y'all are trained, and that's great, but some of y'all are just neighbors. And that's great that neighbors caring about their neighbors informed this process that resulted in projects like this. And that's not to say to let HPD off the hook if they're missing dotting an I or crossing a T, of course not. But in the broad, the broad strokes, like that's a win. And that's your win. It's not HPD's win, it's your win. That concludes my report.
Thank you. We'll now move on to our officer reports. Jess?
Thank you. I'll keep mine super brief and hopefully not repeat too much of what other people have said. But just as you may know, this summer, I passed along the chair of the Environment, Open Space and Parks Committee to Rosa Diaz, who is who is so capable and excited to continue our good work together. And of course, Malik McCullough will stay on as our vice chair, thank God. And I'm looking forward to the work continuing in that committee. So in stepping down at EOSP, I'm stepping up as the chair of the District Needs and Budget Committee. So I just wanted to reiterate, I sent an email to the entire board. Just please reach out if you need anything. I won't answer the phone if you don't leave a voicemail and I don't know your phone number, but I'm also very good at texting and will return your call if you do leave me a voicemail. Just to know, and I'll speak more about district news and budget when we get to that in our agenda. But to reiterate Xavier's point about the Environment, Open Space and Parks Committee community garden tours this summer, I just wanted to say thank you to everyone who showed up. I know it's just like the last couple of years, it's a lot to come out, basically every other weekend for a couple hours to go interact with our community gardeners. But we did celebrate with a final celebration on August 10th with all of the neighborhood community gardeners hosted by Green Thumb. It was really lovely. And I just also wanted to say thank you to the community gardeners for opening up their spaces to us and being so welcoming. It was great to get to know them and for them to get to know us. I wanted to say thank you to Malik McCullough for his ongoing leadership across the parks tours generally. And then I wanted to also thank Green Thumb and specifically Cynthia Guerra. It was an incredible partnership. We reached out and we didn't really expect much, to be honest. But she created maps for us. She reached out to all the community gardens. She was there every weekend. She immediately responded with Green Thumb's help to a lot of the community gardeners' requests, free plants, and it was just a lovely experience with her. So if you ever see her, tell her thank you, and we look forward to continuing that work together. Angel already mentioned the district budget consultation meeting, so everything else is for the record. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jess. And now we will have our treasurer's report.
Hi, Stephanie Arroyo, Treasurer for Community Board 11. Unfortunately, in the documents that you have in front of you, you do not see the report, but if you all community board members have received an email with the link, and you can link on to see the chart of where our community board funding has gone. Just key points. It was the community board managed the budget efficiently and effectively, and the minimal remaining balance across PS, which is personal services, and OTPS, which is other than personal services expenditures, were used. The budget for staff salaries was nearly fully utilized with only a small surplus of $3,373, reflecting efficient personal management. Rent costs and office rent was almost fully utilized with a small remaining balance of $904. And discretionary funding, nearly all discretionary funding were used, particularly for professional services and advertising, indicating high level of problematic activities supported with these funds. So basically, we're hoping that in next year, with the funds that are being used, we see that more people are coming to the community board, more people are actually jumping on the YouTubes or jumping on the Zooms and watching what's going on, thanks to the funds that we have. And that's pretty much it on my end.
Yes, a question.
Just a question, Steffi, I'm not sure you're the right person to ask, but your comment just piqued a question in my mind. Do we have data on viewership of our meetings? I know we're outlaying significant expenditure to make sure that the Zoom option continues. Would it be possible to just sort of somehow, this is me stomping my feet, Angel, scrape some data to just prove that it reaches people who can't be here in the room at some point? So thank you.
I mean, I'm sure there's ways to find out that data, obviously through our YouTube and through our Zoom, but I don't think that's something that we actively or currently are looking at.
Okay, Angel.
Attempt to answer that one. So we don't pay for Zoom. We continue to thank all, like all the community boards in Manhattan. The Borough President's Office is covering the cost of Zoom for us. So thank you, the Borough President's Office. We do spend on the videography and the room rentals on occasion, thanks to a grant from discretionary funding award from Councilmember Ayala. In terms of viewership, I am sure, I'm not expert, but I'm sure if we dig around on YouTube, we can find that information. And I'll ask Khalid, who's our resident knowledgeable person, to get that for us and share it with you all.
Great, thank you. Asher?
So to clarify, all materials for the meeting are shared with everyone. There's a link in the agenda that I sent that says meeting materials. It's in there. No, you're not wrong. It's a reminder. It's a lot of stuff to remember, but it's there.
One more question. Adem, you had your hand raised. So typically, so, yeah, so you can, you know, worthy of an Emmy. The app typically in Vimeo, they'll be able to find not just how many views, but you can then, depending on your account setting, you can get it to show how many unique views as well, but we can look into that. One more question, then I'm gonna move the meeting along. Nope. Okay. Yes, Carlos.
A couple of years ago, we started using iPads and kind of like they faded. I know.
So we still have, they're not iPads, but they're tablets. Y'all weren't using them, so not really. So they're just like, we still own them, but we haven't been utilizing them. We were using them less and less up until the pandemic, and then of course since the pandemic, we just haven't gone to them. It was a lot of effort, and it kind of wasn't going anywhere. So that's why we just gone completely digital. If you ever want to use one, please let me know in advance, and I will bring one for you. But the practice of or anyone, the general you. We're happy to do that, but it was a lot of effort and it wasn't really being used. And since you brought it up, I did want to say we've been relinquishing a lot of our unused tech, and that was next on my agenda. Like by the summer, we'll probably start getting rid of those because they're just sitting there. But if a member or two asks, I'll be happy to bring it. But who asked? Sage. So the idea, this is a while ago, was in an effort to use less paper. We used to print everything. You get a stack of paper like this. So what we would do is we would, instead of, the idea was to provide the tablets that had all the materials loaded on them so that you could just kind of flick through.
Yeah, be more green. So, okay, wonderful. I'm going to move us along to our secretary's report. Rosa.
Good evening, everyone. Most of you may not like me already because of the attendance, but that's my job. Please come in person to your meetings. All of them are in person unless obviously you are not able to. Please communicate with Xavier, Angel, myself. We need to know. Every single month, we are going to do attendance at the executive committee meeting, and I already have your attendance here. If you want to know of your attendance, please see me after the meeting. Otherwise, we'll be here all night. Just communicate with your chairs, please. That's it. Thank you.
That concludes our officers' reports. We'll now move on to our committee reports and action items. First up is housing. Adem. If Anne Marie is not here, she's in a cab on the way from another board meeting.
Next, so I'm probably gonna do it. Okay. All right, so I'm new to the housing committee. I joined in. Thank you. So I'm gonna keep it short. It's in for informational purposes, but my main goal was coming on to make sure we have attendance. I think that was one of the issues, just the committee couldn't get to meeting, but I was very encouraged. We had a good attendance. We had a lot of enthusiasm. We went through our goals. Oh, sweet. Thank you. We went through so I'll go a little longer on this. We went through our goals. One of the things I spoke to earlier was just us, when I was talking to HPD was, I think there gets a lot of misconception about what housing does versus land use. Housing is more about, living conditions, existing, so my concern is to, if new developments are going to come in and they're developers that have, or property owners that have had existing apartments or units in the community to find out what the conditions of those are. Additionally, we're just going to be looking at building inroads with NYCHA. I think there's some, hesitance on their part to maybe open up to dialogue with us, but we're going to try to do walkthroughs and get tenant leaders at our meetings. And because even like finding out the conditions in NYCHA is difficult. For any other property, you could go on HPD's website and get the full scope of, if somebody doesn't have hot water or this or that. With NYCHA, it's not so transparent. So we're going to look to try to uncover some of that. We're pretty much done with our budget stuff. And I think we have a lot of goals. We're going to try to narrow it down to 3 achievable goals and then just kind of go from there. So if there's any questions, I'm happy to take them.
Great.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Adam, and welcome. Congrats. Next up will be licenses and permits. Anne Marie Vasquez. Just in time.
Hello, everyone. I'm Anne Marie Vasquez. I'm now the new chair of License and Permits. A couple of months ago, I was the chair of EcoDev. Now I'm the vice chair, but the chair of this committee. I'm sorry I'm late. I was at another board meeting. I'm a board member of the Puerto Rican Family Institute as well, so we had our board meeting today. So I'm here. Just start with the first license, and then that's how it works. Okay. Okay, so the first one, Los Dos Amigos, 116 Corp. New application for a wine, beer, and cider license for a restaurant. And located on 231 East 116th Street. The committee recommend that this application be denied. The motion to deny was made by Eugene Rodriguez, second by Anne Marie Vasquez, and passed unanimously. And the reason was because of the paperwork wasn't complete. Ariane? Okay. Okay, perfect. Okay. Henez LLC DBA Azalea, new application for wine, beer, and cider license for a restaurant located at 409 East 116th Street, First Avenue. The committee recommends that this application be denied because of lack of paperwork as well. Motion to deny was made by Wanda Hopkins and seconded by Anne Marie Vasquez, opposed by Eugene Rodriguez, and passed. LGBT 116 LLC, new application for full liquor license for a restaurant located at 1637 Park Avenue, store 1 and 2. This is on 116th Street. The application was withdrawn. The committee recommends that this application be denied. Motion to deny was made by Anne Marie Vasquez, seconded by Wanda Hopkins, and passed unanimously. Bavaro LLC, DBA Bavaro, new application for a full liquor license for a restaurant located at 1697 Lexington Avenue on 106th Street. The committee recommends that this application be approved. Motion to approve was made by Eugene Rodriguez, second by Wanda Hopkins, and passed unanimously. Italian Food Philosophy LLC, DBA De La Rea, renewal application for wine, beer, and cider license for a restaurant located on 232 East 111th Street, Second Avenue. The committee recommended this application be denied. Motion to deny was made by Anne Marie Vasquez, second by Wanda Hopkins, and passed unanimously. PSMS 206, which is an open street event, September 7th, 2024, located on 119th Street between Pleasant Avenue and the dead end. It was for a full street closure, and this committee recommend that this application be approved. A motion to approve was made by Anne Marie Vasquez, seconded by Eugene Rodriguez, and passed unanimously. EHCSI Back to School event, a street event, September 7th, located on 115 between 2nd and 3rd Avenue, full street closure. And the committee recommended that this application be approved. Motion to approve was made by Eugene Rodriguez, second by Adem Brija, and passed unanimously. District 4 Welcome Back to Schools Festival, September 21st, located on 120th Street between Lex Avenue and 3rd Avenue, full street closure. And this committee recommends that this application be approved. Motion to approve was made by Adem Brija, second by Eugene Rodriguez, and passed unanimously. Four Corners Initiative Block Party, a street event, September 28th, on 125th Street, all the way to 128th Street and Lexington Avenue, full street closure. The committee recommends that this application be approved. A motion to approve was made by Adim Brija, second by Eugene Rodriguez, and passed unanimously. Back to School Rally, September 29 on 124th Street between Madison Avenue and Park Avenue, full street closure. The committee recommends that this application be denied, again because of paperwork missing. And a motion to deny was made by Adim Brija, second by Eugene Rodriguez, and passed unanimously. Last but not least, the African Festival, October 19, a street event. Two locations. One, it will be Duke Ellington Circle between 110th Street and Fifth Avenue. Second location, East 110th Street between Madison Avenue and Duke Ellington Circle, which is a full street closure and a curb lane only. The committee recommends that this application be denied, again because of paperwork. A motion to deny was made by Adim Brija, second by Eugene Rodriguez, and passed unanimously. That's it.
Wonderful. Yes, Isaac.
What was the paperwork? So most of the paperwork that most of these, either the liquor licenses or the street closure always usually tend to miss is a 1 out of the 3 or 2 out of the 3 letters, support letters. Usually they always get a business to support, but it's always hard to get an organization to support.
Yep. Adam.
Yeah.
Into the valley and want to get on the license. And if you want to merge your business with some down the front, then we'll get a couple of days.
Understood.
Thank you, Adam.
All right.
It wasn't on
I'm-
the minutes, so, and I forgot.
But that is helpful. I'm willing to entertain. Do you have a question, Sage?
Why do you with your story? With your
All right, so I'm willing to entertain. I'm going to bundle these to approve the committee's recommendations as a whole. Yes, Isaac, you wanted to make. Okay, second. Malik, I'll give it to Malik. Thank you. All those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries. Thank you so much. We're now going to move on to Environment, Open Space and Parks. Rosa? And there's one action item here.
Debbie Quinones made a motion to provide a letter of support for the proposed reconstruction of the Pelham Fritz Recreation Center roof. The motion was seconded by Michelle Wilshire Clemens and passed unanimously. Just for information only, just to add on to what Jessica said, the community garden tour was incredible to be in community and see them, how much they care for the community gardens. It's amazing. And they had some needs that we raised up with Cynthia Guerra, and she will be supporting the community gardens boards. We also planning to continue this initiative for the years to come, hopefully. And I sent out a Google form to the committee members so we can collaborate together on our goals. Malik, if you want to add on to that, that's okay too. And we will be brainstorming on district need, especially because now we have firsthand intel on what the board, community board members, community gardens members need. That's it.
Wonderful. Thank you. Yes, Malik.
Thank you. I guess the purpose for us to reach out and to our community is to basically actually physically see what's going on in our community. So going on our parks tours last year and going on to our community gardens this year, it gives us a sense of knowing exactly what to, like Angel said earlier, what we need to vote for, what we need to advocate for. And like Angel said earlier, I challenge the other committees to possibly, if y'all can, find ways to go, whatever committees, as far as land use and housing, if we could go to these different sites and know exactly what's going on in our community, it'll help us out a lot, as far as being informed. And then it'll help us out a lot as far as advocating for whatever the community actually needs. So I think us going out these past 2 years, these 2 summers, gave us a lot of insight, and it helped us a lot. I know we have a lot of requests, but it at least we know we can't do things overnight, but we do know that we make a difference. And at least if they see us advocating for them, then they know that we're here to help them in our efforts as far as our community is concerned. So that's the only thing I wanted to add.
Wonderful. Thank you. Jason? Yep, we have action item number 12 was motion to provide a letter of support for the proposed reconstruction of Pelham Fritz Recreation Center roof. It's made by Deputy Quinones, seconded by Michelle, and passed unanimously. Second, I'll give it to Beverly. All those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries. Our next is Human Services.
Good evening, everybody. I'll be brief. So I just want to cover some of the goals that we have for our committee this year. One, and I'm sure this is a goal everyone has, but making sure that we strengthen and expand our budget priorities next month. This is, we really are going to be, we have been already looking at, and we're going to continue to look at the responses that we are getting for what we are asking for, and do our best to strengthen those asks and or shift them if they don't need to be a budget priority with respects to what we're asking. Secondly, identifying different advocacy strategies, which was going into what I was just saying. So everything may not be pursued through the budget priority process, because at the end of it, we got way more budget priorities for human services than we know is going to actually make it through at the end of this. So it's important that we're not just leaving it to hang on just one form of advocacy. So how else can we, still attempt to, accomplish the goals we have with respects to those priorities and those issues that we are bringing up or we care about, excuse me. Lastly, I'm very grateful for this, but it is, I won't even call it a challenge, because so far it's been great. We going into the break in June, we had 4 committee members and now we have 11. So there's a bit of a transition into, onboarding new committee members, and not that folks don't have experience on the board, but just with this specific committee and some of the challenges we've faced. And, we haven't had any rough meetings yet where we got cursed out on the phone yet. So I hope folks ain't too discouraged, So things like that, and just preparing ourselves for that and being able to work and articulate ourselves to the community and articulating our progress. So with that, I want to say this will save me an email. Committee members, before y'all run out of here, if you have the time, could you just talk to me for a minute so I can just find the time to meet with each of you in the next 2 weeks before we go back? I did email y'all and say I would follow up with an email. This is my email. Lastly, we are going to be having an addiction forum, where I think we can also address some of the issues that Elsie was speaking about with respects to the drug dealing. Not as much that, but our focus was really on addiction treatment programs, services. How do we ensure that folks are getting the services they need, but it's done in a much more humane way? I definitely appreciate what Malik just said in regards to walking through the hood. Like, just walk and you get to see. If you just walk, you get to see, and it's not always as bad as people make it seem, it's not Nightmare on Elm Street, but it also is not good. You know, so it's like we got to make sense of this, but also be able to advocate humanely for people. You know, so I'll leave it there so we can go home.
Thank you very much. You have a question, Jessica?
What is it in regards? Thanks, Jess. Yeah, when you find, yeah, when you find
Thank you very much. Asher, Youth and Education. Come on down. You're the next contestant on the community board.
All right, hello again. I'm gonna try to go through this as quickly as possible while still being informational because a lot was spoken about. The first thing is welcome to all new board members. I'm not sure if someone has said that yet, but welcome. So the first thing that we spoke about was we did get a couple of updates from the DOE, from Dr. Christie. We always appreciate the partnership of Dr. Christie and the CC. So Dr. Christie announced that there is 2 new interim principals within District 4. So PS 108, Jennifer Tagano will be taking over as interim principal. And for PS 72, I forgot her first name, Miss Rado. Tammy Rado, sorry, she's my old assistant principal. I did not remember her first name. So yeah, both of them are taking over as interim principals as the 2 other principals have retired after many years within the district. Dr. Christie also announced, I can't believe I'm blanking on the date. The pool in the River East building on 120th Street and First Avenue, they're doing a ribbon cutting ceremony. I think it's October 10th, David. So yeah, I'll double check on that, but the whole community board is open to attend, and they're going to be providing waterproofing classes for kids within the district. As we know, we've had a couple of drownings in the East River in recent years, so this is very important. David and I attended the ribbon cutting for the East Harlem Tutorial High School, which was it's interesting to see it come into fruition because I remember when we voted on that when I first joined the board. It's a very nice building. And I suggest if you can get a tour of it, get a tour of it. David and a few other board members, I think, attended the back to school event. I was unfortunately out of town on Saturday, so I was not able to attend. So the DOE, Dr. Christie and them did appreciate seeing community board members there every year to be able to represent the community. We spoke about district needs. We have decided to keep a lot of our previous requests, but work a lot more on being specific within the wording on how we request, because we notice a lot of stuff gets bounced back between agencies. Like it'll say when this is this agency, then the next year we'll go to that agency, and we're working with Dr. Christie and the DOE to specify which agencies we should be going to. And we also spoke about goals and the new member introductions. I don't remember if I'm forgetting anything. So yeah.
Well, has opened a new school and they're in Taino Tower. Urban Dove has been around this community for a long time, and that should be their 4th school that they're opening. So we welcome them. Again, a lot more of our work is also focusing on the charter schools and supporting them in our community as well.
Just one more thing that I'm remembering now, we also mentioned partnering up with the CEC and the DOE because we have been invited to tour the schools in the past. So we're working with Dr. Christie to see if we could get tours of the schools. So does anyone have any questions?
And
Christie Prep left, correct?
The school, half of the school that was there, they have up for the school. There are two schools of democracy for still in the building, and they're sharing 2 floors, Urban Dove has, and 2 floors, democracy. But the reason I know a lot about this is my better half that I live with is the operations, what's the name of Urban Dove. So, no, not that we did not let it know that I had a relationship. We did let it know that I was involved with somebody or not.
Anyways. He did make that clear when we voted on it. Anyway,
Christina had a question, then Candy, and then.
yeah, I'm gonna email Dr. Christie tonight. I totally blinked on the day. I'm pretty sure it's the 10th, but I'm gonna double check.
Okay, thank you. Candy?
Telling us about the grant, the living party, the reason why when you don't get invited at all. But any ribbon party like we used to, you want us to be engaged and involved, you have to let us know when there's gonna be a ribbon party and we can show out the time to do that and represent our community well. So I just wanna say thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome. I'm half asleep.
That's
was that
okay.
other comment?
All right, thank you.
No, okay.
All right, thank you very much, Asher. Land use, landmarks and planning, Jason.
She's smart. It's gonna be short and sweet. Good evening, family. Jason. You heard most of the conversation from the presentation from HPD and the development squad as it relates to the Beacon project. That was our main topic of discussion for presentation. I want to applaud all the community, all of the members of the committee that were very thoroughly engaged. Outside of that, we had a discussion for our goals for the next year from 2024 to 2025. And pretty much that discussion was towards our interest in ensuring that we keep a space open for landmark preservation. And one of the things that I keep hearing here is about, one of my other faithful colleagues came with a prettier word of cross committee collaboration, right? So I think landmarks is going to allow a lot of that opportunity because in our new business, we started talking to one of the gardeners who was really concerned about their existing garden and how it's being affected by construction projects. So that is under review and figuring out ways to support the local gardener and possibly acquiring a landmark / preservation term and or parkland. So that'll give us opportunities to cross collaborate with parks. And I continue to communicate with all the chairs of the board. Other item of discussion for goals was trying to figure out a way to pretty much hold us a little bit more accountable as the land use committee with the points of agreement. So we're going to continue to further develop that and figure out ways to cross collaborate that with the statement of district needs, as well as address any concerns that come up from the board. And the final item that I pretty much just wrote down because there was a general discussion that I asked the members to provide some advice as to goals that we would look forward towards for the coming fiscal year. And the words that I wrote down was community givebacks, right? There seems to be a lot of questions and concerns relevant to RFPs that go through a very formal and technical process through the city of New York. And then when it lands in our district, as Angel and it's been expressed by others, we tend to kind of forget, right? Like I probably wasn't here when they did I wasn't here as a member when they did the POA. But that being said, that doesn't take away some of the, for lack of a better word, requests for gives to our district, right? That these developers were awarded the project because of them qualifying for the project, but it seems to be a concern a lot when it gets to our stage. What is the community getting in return for giving up this land for $1 and then allowing, for lack of a better word, livable wages and or minimum wages to support the financing of the project that's being developed? So that's my report.
Thank you very much, Jason. Appreciate it. Candy, question. So we, thank you. We don't need to do that. It gets validated in the next committee's meeting. Public safety and transportation. Our new chair for public safety. Yeah, Michelle.
So yes, I'm also going to keep it short. We have two items that we discussed and voted on. And those two items had presentations at the beginning. One of them was about daylighting, was the presentation, and daylighting is making the street visible to pedestrians and to drivers and to whoever else is around so that people do not get simply killed. It's very simple, and the presentation is, as Angel said, up online. So I do want anyone to take a look at it because it is really important for our community. Another thing was a bus from Columbia is going to be going around, and it has many times before, but they wanted to have our permission or our recommendation to say, okay, yes, we can still continue that. And so that is one of the items that we are going to be voting on tonight. One of our goals, and we do have many goals, is the second, this is the save the date, October the 26th, is the second Safety Awareness East Harlem Conference taking in Silberman Building, which is on East 119th Street. And I will also ask, yes. Oh, okay. And I also want to put together the funds, whatever funds that we do have available, that's the second voting item for this project. Sweet and simple.
Okay, great. Any questions, Rosa? You had a question? Okay.
Oh, yes, and the little QR code is there.
Jessica?
It is different. It is different. It's Columbia students that it's a stop that's already exists. They just want to extend it for this particular year.
All right, thank you. And with that, if there are no other
Any other
questions, Jason? So we had number 13, action item 13 was Pascal Hano made a motion to support the Academy Express Bus LLC's application for shuttle service pickup drop-offs at Madison Avenue, East 125th Street to East 126th Street. Motion was seconded by Dawn Sanders and passed with one abstention, Jones. Is there a motion to approve? Jason, second. Second, Candy. All those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right. Motion carries. Number 14 was Pascal Hano made a motion to allocate any pending Public Safety Transportation Committee funds for FY25 towards the second annual East Harlem Safety Awareness Conference. The motion was seconded by Carlos Diaz and passed with one present not voting, Mason. Is there a motion? Yes, Jason? Second. Point of order, yeah.
We don't know the dollar amount as yet.
Depending on the allotment, and Angel goes through that and reviews it. We've been able to at times secure 500 for the committees. Sometimes they've allocated less than that, but the max is typically pegged at that. Okay. And there was a motion on the table. Thank you. Motion is second. Second, Isaac Scott. All those in favor? Any opposed? Any?
Okay.
Any abstentions? All right, the motion carries. All right, economic development culture. That's you, Jose.
Just wanted to say that the officer report should have a timer as well. I am now the chair of Echo Dev. Michelle Clemens wanted the chair and she ruthlessly, viciously took it, and it made me quite proud. No, look, we're doing a lot of great things. It's like a great committee, great people there. We're doing a lot of what was already happening there, which is still working with the small businesses, but we're also kind of doing some macro goals. So we're going through the goal process now. We're going to work with Union Settlement because they have something that, that we want to work with in terms of getting the community to know everything that's here. Like the other day, someone told me that we didn't have good food in East Harlem, and I was like, obviously, you don't spend time in East Harlem. They said that to me, and I was like, oh my God. So, I think we have a lot of good businesses here, a lot of small businesses that need certain attention. Google's great, but unless you're looking for something in specific, you don't always see everything that's there. I just learned this week that one of my neighbors does notary, and I'm waiting for this lady once a week that she comes, and I could have gone there anytime. So, this happens to even us that we're here every day. So I'm looking forward to it, and that's all. Thank you.
Jose, you don't get off that easily too, actually. Nye,
highlight, we can highlight even more the beautiful East Harlem restaurant guide that Uptown Grand Central produces on several times a year to promote Restaurant Week when it's here. And just as a way for us to really let the community know, it's super important that we spend our dollar in our community, that the dollar stays in the community, and that we create opportunity for everyone here, from our small businesses through our jobs, but also through our dry cleaning and our groceries. I am someone who's never ordered from Amazon, and I never will, because I want my money to stay here in this community. And I invite you all to look up that restaurant guide.
Christina.
What I was alluding to, in case we weren't on the same page. So the guide is what we were kind of getting to. I like the idea we could work with more than one organization. And, she was waiting for my parking. I didn't give it to her. Sorry. I know what you're doing. It's okay. But no, it's definitely something that we're working with. We're going to work Union Settlement and anyone else that has something like that. We want to get as many businesses there as possible, because obviously, they need the traction, they need the visibility. And like I said, Google is amazing, but when you know exactly what you want, right? And then otherwise it's too many things and people start narrowing it down.
Thank you. Asher, your question.
Yeah, ignorant question, but is the for La Marqueta, is the actual shopping space that's gonna get repaired eventually also, correct?
That's actually public safety and transportation, but no, they are doing the whole renovation. We're gonna replace the whole roof. That's gonna be happening in the next few. So once that's done, then they'll do the interior, but for now,
Where's it moving to? When?
It's already moved. They moved it down to 12.
Oh.
Yeah, so Irving Garden Center already moved down, as did a lot of the other spaces. So, yeah. All right, Michelle, your question, then I'll move to statement of district needs. Guys, we're nearly there. Guys, look at the cross.
We can understand, Michelle.
I have it around the neighborhood. Then I did questions of 100, I wish I had this survey earlier, but I will do that later on. And there are a lot of people coming into our neighborhood saying, we've heard that you have great restaurants here. You come just for the restaurant, so this is the best time to do it.
Thank you. Now we move to statement of district budget. Privately or under chair. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Just to reiterate the thing that I shared report, we spoke about our goals for district needs, which was to do it well and continue sustainably throughout the rest of the year, so that we can do it even better the next year and the year after that. We talked about building partnerships, and we have this beautiful process. So keeping to it motivating our elected officials and city agencies to help make sure that our requests are accurate and can be fulfilled as easily as possible. We spoke in different meetings about the budget consultation meetings that were already discussed. We did not get an opportunity to have the meetings that we have with our city agency partners. But we will continue to look forward next year, and as mentioned, we were able to have sort of one budget consultation meeting with district speaker, Iowa's office, and our way to hear back from the council members as well. We spoke about just sort of an overview of what we heard from each of our committees. So I think we spoke to all every chair of the committee across the community board. But thank you for those who reached out to me separately. I think I'm actually impressed with how well everyone is preparing, how much communication is happening inside and outside of the board meetings. I'm really looking forward to the recommendation for the budget report. We mentioned the survey, as noted, Brandon mentioned it was it will be open until the end of this month, September 30th. And with that, you will have in your committee meetings next month in October, a story that comes out of that survey that highlights what we've heard. What are people's concerns, top priorities, and how does that sort of weigh into your feedback and prioritization of your budget request? Next month in October, all committees are to finalize your budget requests and priorities. So that means, I think we've reiterated this a number of times, but the work should not happen in forward. The work should happen in the committees. So if you do want to be engaged in the budget process, please reach out to the chair of the committee if you are not on it. And if you are on it, please obviously attend these meetings, and we ask that you provide your feedback, whether it's a new request or a revision to the wording, or it's a prioritization that, this absolutely is our most, high priority item, that communication is had in advance of the committee meetings, and however your chairs are organizing it, but I would suggest that within 48 hours of the meeting, that your feedback is received by the entire committee that you hope to engage on your feedback.
So that the committee meeting can be thoughtful, engaged, and decisive, so that we can finalize these requests without everybody's committees staying until 10, 11 o'clock at night, because that's not going to work for us. So on the 16th of next month, October 16th, we will have the District Needs and Budget Committee meeting. And there will be, our committee will be working to finalize the request based on all of your finalization. So, each committee votes on the requests and priorities within that committee's asks. And then we are going to take all of that and assemble it into a complete list of priorities. And then there will be multiple opportunities to, weigh in ahead of full board. So between district needs and full board, there's also the executive committee meeting, which is on October 24th. And the executive committee will be again speaking about the budget requests and priorities, and that'll be your sort of final opportunity to really provide any constructive feedback, and then we hope to approve the full board committee full board's recommendations and priorities across all committees at our full board meeting on October 29th. Let's see, I think that is it. If there are any questions, I'm here for you. And it's a big, sometimes scary process, but it's really not that bad. So we can get through this, and we can keep doing it better and better each year. Thanks, everybody. I see multiple questions.
If you miss the vote on being able to request item in this round, it could be brought up at any point during the year and cycled into the process as the committee collects Is that right?
Yeah.
And just let your chair know, and it will come up again. in budget season.
Absolutely. Yes, and thank you for that comment, because I think to Isaac's committee and I think others who are thinking about the budget throughout the year, it becomes much easier and you don't have to cram in September and October to formulate your request because you've been doing it all year. So to Jessica Morris's point, please, if you have ideas, be thinking about them in December, February. Like, we have to be continuously moving the ball forward.
For those who remember seeing it on your committee's agendas in the years past, where it would be a regular monthly discussion, that was the purpose. So we're re-employing that process again. So just as a quick reminder. Asher.
Just a very quick comment, as Jessica mentioned, reaching out to committee chairs, even if you're not on that committee. I do request for youth and education that you at least please email me the Friday before the meeting by the end of the day, because I am a college student, full transparency, and I would like to be able to get everyone's request in, but I can't do that within the 48-hour notice. Thank you.
Great. Asher and the Youth and Education Committee request that their information be received the Friday before the committee, which is October 4th. Thank you.
Jason.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, same point of clarification, any request for land, we send it writing, but I did want to add, after service that, from being on this side with it as a chair, that I've learned over the last 30 days, example given, like HPD was here, right? I asked HPD, what do they need? And HPD is now going to send me an email that's going to indicate to them what they need, so that way next month, when I have a discussion with my committee, but sometimes, where that lost point happens, where you're asking the committee members and, you feel this sick need to just see if gum could stick to the wall. That might not necessarily be the case, right? So if you're having challenges with your members and getting, accurate, historical, factual requests in, I do implore to the chairs to reach out to the administrative agencies, because if anybody's going to tell you why and how they need money, it's going to be them. And I found that conversation interesting based off of the challenges that you board members did today with HPD.
Thank you, Jason. And to Jason's point, I'm happy, and the District Needs and Budget Committee is happy to assist with the outreach to city agencies, and it is very effective. It's how Peter Minuet Playground was funded, because we spoke to Parks and said, this is what we think, what do you think? And we agreed, and that's how we've moved it forward. So great point, Jason, thank you. Candy and then Michelle.
With the budget and so this was the budget, I'm not sure if it goes in the committee of the economic development, although it should, and also public safety transportation. But the Metro North is fixing all of the Park Avenue viaduct, right? So the problem is this, is that we did the Placita, and I'm saying we because our community got money to get the Placita done. And it's only been 2 years, and then all of a sudden, it's torn down, and it looks like a war zone. I take a picture of it all the time as I see the progress. But you can pass by like around 11:45, and they're starting like it's daylight, and you can hear them working and everything, making all this crazy noise. This money should be replenished back into our community, because we already spent money in fixing that. So who's gonna be responsible? Like from which budget, which committee do we request this money back from? I think that we should get refunded in other ways, but we should get back that money that was already spent, and it look $1 million.
So this was addressed in a previous report, because I sit on the Friends of La Marqueta, as does Nilsa Rama, Matthew Washington, and no, it's in my chair report. That's saying that it was reported in one of my previous reports. So it's important to read and review, because it gives a summary, and reminding everyone to just please engage. And these questions are great, because the memory warehouse gets filled up and gets replaced with stuff. As a parent, I know it happens to me all the time, where I forget now. And it used to be wheels on the bus, go round and round, and now it's replaced with budget. They have allocated that money. The viaduct work's being done. They're committed to restoring it to the previous state it was. So that is their commitment. They are in phase one. They will begin phase two. I'd have to check my notes. But they haven't funded phase two, but La Marqueta, La Placita, all of that is part of phase one. They're just not there yet. So that money is allocated. The 25 million that was allocated during Melissa Mark Vivarito's tenure is still in the bucket. So that money, and unfortunately, we've had discussions on this and also mentioned in my chair report tonight, is that we are going to have a presentation to the board where they are playing musical stalls with all the vendors and where they're going to get relocated to during this process. And that's an important component. Not much is going to change in what was presented to the community, but we do want to have a presentation here at this board, and then one that is within the district where more people can attend. So to answer your question, the money's there, the money's going to get restored according to the MTA. They are responsible for restoring that to the state it was. So we can carry on with our process and getting more appropriations to the 25 million and actually see it come to full fruition, what we all envisioned and all played a part. And I want to thank you, as well as some of the other veteran members who've been with us through that process and hold that institutional knowledge. Thank you very much. That's great. Thank you, Candy. Any other, Michelle, one more question and we'll. Yeah, absolutely. That's what we're here to do. Michelle.
With the district team, if we have something that we want to go out to the entire community as part of just a quick thing, are you the person to send it to? For example, I have been asking people in the community about different parts of the sidewalks that are uneven and are dangerous, and I'm going to be adding those specific into my district needs portion. However, I would like that information to spread throughout the entire board and to give me that information as well.
Yeah, I mean, Michelle, just send me an email and we can reach out to DOT and together on the sidewalks. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Some really great discussion. We're going to move the meeting along now to executive committee. We're almost done. So you've heard from all of your chairs. I want to congratulate all the new chairs who've taken on their roles. Yep. Part of this is about passing on knowledge, institutional knowledge. Some of us here have been on the board since 2009, took a hiatus, came back. Some have been here, like David Giordano's been on the board for a while, Candy, Carlos, Jose. A lot of us have been serving for a long time, and term limits are a reality we're going to face as we get cycled off. It's important to impart our institutional knowledge to the new members, and there's been intentional pairing with our current leadership to offload that information. New members, I would like you to get more involved. Ask questions. Like I said, the only dumb question is the one not asked. That's it. So, but in the same sense, grab a coffee, look at our Airtable. We have tons of information there. And again, we don't expect you to remember everything, but it's important that if you have a question, just ask someone to the side. If it's not disturbing the meeting, saying, hey, what was this about? And they can pull up on the website and say, hey, there was a huge debate during the rezoning. It's very important for us to do that together. Within executive committee, you've heard most of it tonight. The one thing I do want to impart are the committee expectations. Please refresh yourself on our positions. There have been positions that have existed for a while, some that need to be renewed. Familiarize yourself. I'd like you to make sure you're fully vetted through all of our positions so that when you're out there, you know what you're seeing on the streets may be different from what we had taken a position on, or if there's something new we need to act on. It's important for us all to be plugged in and engaged. So I want to challenge each and every one of you once a quarter, come out, party in the park. I should see a ton of you there. Real easy. Checked it off for the quarter. Done. That's a big thing. So with that, I want to remind everyone, if we could stop the crosstalk, please. We're almost done. So again, I expect to see a lot more out there. Chairs, start wrangling people to come out. That's on you. So that was something we discussed. It's very important for us to get more involved. With that, I'm going to move us through to our action items. Yay, is right. Again, in my email for the board and the new members, we're ratifying. I'm going to go through these, and these are positions that were already taken. I'm going to bundle them all together to approve executive committee's decisions. And that way we can get this done and dusted. First is number 15, Teamwork 3 LLC doing business. It was a renewal application. It was administratively approved. No vote is required. That was decided in conjunction with our former license and permits chair, Adem Briha, realizing if there are no 311s, no issues, and they provided all the paperwork, it takes one thing off of our table. If there's a 311, it goes through a vote. All right, street activity permit application number 16, Old Timers Block Party. That was no vote required. Same thing, administratively approved. 17 was 2024 East Harlem Youth Fair. That was motion to deny. Number 18 was Renaissance School of the Arts MS 377, motion to deny. That was done, both of those by Jose Altamirano and seconded by Rosa Diaz, passed unanimously. 19, Salsa en el Barrio End of the Summer Bash. No vote was required. 20, GHT Evangelistic Service. Motion to approve by Rosa Diaz, seconded by Jessica Elliott, motion and passed unanimously. 21, Ethnic Festival Back to School backpack book bag giveaway. Again, motion to approve. 22, 831 Day, and that was a motion to approve. Imanas Helping Hands was motion to approve. 24, Family Day, motion to deny by Jose Altamirano, second by Rosa Diaz. 25 was a motion to for the back to school backpack giveaway. Again, a motion to deny by Jose Altamirano. 26, back to school event, another motion to deny by Jose Altamirano. 27 was the barbecue. Motion to approve by Rosa Diaz. I'm just holding off making the second, and was again, motion to approve by Rosa Diaz and second by Jessica Elliott, passed unanimously, just to get us through. And I will entertain a motion to bundle and approve the committee's recommendations. Malik? The committee, second. I'm going to give it, anybody, Christina, I'll give you Christina. All those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? No, the motion's carried. I think the discussion's over now. Any new, and before we wrap out, please, 2 seconds before we get to new business, old business, and announcements. We are in the Museum of the City of New York. If you live here, you can come and you have your ID, you can come here for free. But more importantly, we want to thank Jerry Gallagher and the Museum of the City of New York and the lovely staff who are with us, as well as our audio and visual team. Can we give them an applause? They have hosted us numerous times and our Earth Day conference, which will hopefully be back next year. So with that, any new business? Any old business? Announcements. East Harlem Law Day will be held on Saturday, September 28th, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at Dream Charter School. Hope to see you there. Hold on, David. I'm going to get to you after I get the second one. 5th annual Party in the Park will be held Sunday, 29th, 12 to 4, Park Avenue, 111th to 115th Streets. Look to see, guys, the crosstalk. David, you had an announcement, and then Isaac. What's your question?
The legal event, they're gonna also be covering business law too. Like,
I am not sure, but Jason Wu would be able to answer that question. He's with Legal Aid. Law Day, will they be covering, okay, wonderful. Thank you, Jason. All right, David, your announcement?
Here, ladies, hit on earlier. We advocated for things years ago. Sometimes those things do come to fruition. So many of us have had, as part of what district needs in prior years, and also part of the Youth and Education Committee, was to extend the Metro parties to youth and children. And so this year, they have a new card for students that you get 4 rides a day, and you get to ride on weekends. And again, that's something we put in this community over and over again. But we are part of the reward for our community. So don't give up, keep pushing, and if you let it go, we ain't never gonna get it.
Thank you, David. I remember that advocacy, and I really appreciate you bringing that up, because my boys, when they got their little Metro cards, were shocked. They were like, "What is this?" And yeah, so thank you very much. We got one more announcement, Rosa.
Thank you. Yes, Manhattan Borough High School is gonna have a fair this weekend at Martin Luther King High School campus in 122nd Amsterdam Avenue, Saturday, September 28th, and Sunday, September 29th, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Manhattan High School's President's Council will join and table. If you have any questions, reach out to me. Thank you.
That, we'll.
Okay, everyone, please pay attention to your name. Jose Altamirano. Thank you. Stephanie Arroyo, Mark Bogorsky, Marcel Bondima, Adem Brija, Kenneth Crouch, Jocelyn Cruz, Carlos Diaz, Rosa Diaz, myself, Jessica Elliott, Judith Ferraris, excuse, Arnice Foster Hernandez, David Giordano, John Green, Pascal Hanu, Wanda Hopkins,
Present.
Christina Johnson, Stanley Johnson, Jewel Jones, Sage Mason, Malik McCauley, Malik, pay attention, Jennifer Mayer, Jennifer Mayer. Didn't I see her? Okay. Jessica Morris, Nilsa Orama.
Present.
Thank you. Beverly Pavon. Beverly Pavon. Oh, okay. Samantha Pedreiro. Thank you. Claudia Perez. Valerie Ponte.
Present.
Asha Rodriguez. Eugene Rodriguez. Jennifer Rosado. Don Sanders. Don Sanders.
Yes, I'm sorry, I'm here.
Isaac
Did you-
Scott. Russell Schiller. Loretta So. Derek Stampon. Alaida Ticambon. Vincent Torres. Marie Vasquez. Jason Villanueva. Elda Vives Vasquez. Nee Whitaker. Whitaker. Thank you. Whitaker. I will practice your name. Justina Williams. Michelle Wilshire Clements. Shanique Wolf. Thank you. Jason Wu. Thank you.
Rosa, did you get me? It's
Have a good
Dawn.
night.